words. Hi, hello? Hello, Bio, welcome, dreamers. Oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. Oh, no. Oh, no, you're raided. You're raided. I'm not ready. Hi. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. My name is Cupcake Conjurer. In both name and profession, I hope you enjoy the Kingdom of Hearts stream. Go and get some rest. Go and drink a drink, get some food, all of that good stuff. Yeah, I'm still. Oh goodness. Oh. But yeah, Dreamo Raid. Thank you. Yeah. Oh no, I hurt my thingy. Oh, but I hope it was good stuff. I hope you had a good time with Briar. And did you beat the game? Did you beat the game? Yeah. Did you beat the bad guy? Did you beat the stinky bad bosses? Oh no. Denizen of Misery. But oh yeah, hello Briar, hello Denizen of Misery, hello it's TA, and hello Paladin Stem. How are you all doing? And why do I say it's TA? It's TA. It's just TA. I beat the game. Time for the next Kingdom of Hearts game. How many Kingdom of Hearts games are there? There's like, you've beaten like a dozen of them by now. Oh my goodness. Did we just like release like 2 or 3 a year or something? I don't know how old Kingdom of Hearts is. Kingdom Hearts, not Kingdom of Hearts. Kingdom Hearts. I keep wanting to call it Off Hearts because, you know, I've never played the games before. I still have like 3 or 4. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm just imagining your beats in a Kingdom of Hearts game, like 1 game a day, every single day of the week, and you're just there 3 years later, like, we're halfway there! Oh gosh. Oh no, you have to play like each version now. You have to like play for PS2 version of a game and like the PS1 of a GameCube version. Like, just see if there's any differences in them. Am I laggy? I feel a little laggy. But anyway, I'll be. I just need to get a couple of things done. BRB! Wee! Smash! Cola bird, yeah! I'm back. Hi. Hi. Where am I? How do I do this again? It's here. This one. This one. Yeah. And I move this over. I apologize. I apologize. PSP Kingdom of Hearts. PSP Kingdom of Hearts. Right, Kingdom Hearts, sorry. Why do I always add for often? I'm going to blame dyslexia. Hi, back. No!
Hi back in Cuptle.
Oh, you're a bit quiet, Cuptle, in my ears. I'll just turn that up. Mega jump. Mega jump. Yeah, that's the command for the... There we go. Look at my character. Oh, it's exploding. Explosions. Yeah, if you want to... Ooh. Oh, it's so close. I was so close. Yeah, we replaced a command. It's now mega jump because it kept getting held for with you by YouTube. And then I'm constantly having to be like, okay, you're allowed to say that word. You're allowed to say it. Oh, but anyway, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about being a bit all over the place. I was making schedules and thumbnails. Oh yeah. Where is it? Bam! Oh my gosh, look at that.
Avada Kaboom. Collision emoji. French puff went kaboom.
No! So look at that. Look at that beautiful art. That's actually the thumbnail art for today. That's by Nico art. Nico's amazing. Oh, by the way, there's like a fake Nico going around on Discord. If someone's asking for money or whatever and not directing you directly to Nico's VGen, oh, it's bad. It's bad. How do I do this? There we go. But we're painting. We got drop pods. We got Rogue Trader. We got more Rogue Trader. Oh my gosh, is that Warhammer Total War? And we got more painting. Yeah, no, not for fake artists on Discord. Yeah, fake artists on Discord. Pretending to be Nico. This is why it's incredibly important for artists to have VGen accounts. Or very similar accounts. Something like Ko-Fi, whatever. And to accept payments via PayPal. And, or Stripe. The reason being is because, one, for VGen it's extremely important, or it's extremely useful, because it's very hard to fake someone's VGen account. It's not just anyone can sign up to VGen. And if you do, there's all sorts of restrictions and art things there, so it's very hard just to imitate somebody else. Accepting payments via PayPal and Ko-Fi is also incredibly important because, not Ko-Fi, Stripe and stuff like that, is because they offer much better protection. For instance, there's not only a gap between like me sending for money and then you accepting for money. It doesn't go straight into your bank account. It gets held by PayPal for a little while, especially for like non-big businesses. The other thing about for PayPals is that often you're going to have like the person's name there. So it's it's like it's not just going to be going to some weird business entity. A third thing is PayPal offers like all sorts of payment protection plans and stuff. And so does things like Stripe and all of that cool thing. So that means if you... Basically, it just gives like that extra sort of safety and security. Average buff. The problem is that a lot of people on VGen have randomly given away codes on VGen too. Yeah, but that's why they've limited it to only like 2 codes per person. So while it is possible to fake a VGen account, it's much harder to fake a VGen account than it is a Discord or it is a PayPal or any sort of thing. In PayPal, all of these things can still be fake, so none of it's a guarantee. But it's all these extra layers of protection and stuff that can go in, allowing you to get your money back, allowing you to report scammers. And just those types of things. PayPal's not as good as it used to be for that type of thing, as it used to be. PayPal had a very similar, you know, where people complain about Steam. Well, if they talk about Steam, you know, just assassinating people. Yeah, PayPal used to kind of be a bit like that. If you found a scammer, for like completely ban bank accounts and stuff and report them to authorities and all sorts of things. Now, you can still get the PayPal account blocked, but they're not necessarily going to do all of that stuff. No, Steam doesn't assassinate people. It's just making fun of the wording. Like they talk about eliminating accounts and are just like eliminating people and stuff. Really, all they talk about is like banning accounts, banning IPs. Reporting to authorities is something they also do. They'll often like do stuff where like they'll ban bank accounts and stuff and connections. They'll also try going to other social media platforms and, you know, trying to work with them to eliminate these bad actors on these other platforms. But yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important to think. And whenever you're hiring an artist, don't go through like personal links or anything like that. Often, like, especially if it's like an artist you know the name of, or like you've heard of, seen for work and stuff. Always basically try and, you know, go through like their official accounts, like try finding their official Twitter or their official feeds and stuff like that, rather than just following the links. So yeah. No, if I don't assassinate people, it's just a meme. It's just a meme about Steam assassinating people. Yeah, but always be safe when hiring artists online. Generally try to avoid going through, especially if an artist approaches you. Like if they approach you with fan art, that's fine. But always try to go through like things like Fijian and stuff. If they start asking for bank details or for to, you know, directly wire for money, or they're asking like, oh, I need more money or whatever, don't do that. But try giving your sub stories. Those are usually scammers. Usually scammers. And sometimes artists themselves can be scammers. That's where you have to be extra careful. Oh, but that's why things like Fijian were set up. So, yeah. Just be careful. Just be careful out there when hiring people. And it's not just artists, there's all sorts of things out there for like when hiring people. Especially like freelancers and stuff. They can never be truly. But it's always be careful, like even with people you trust. Actually, especially with people you trust. That doesn't work. That doesn't work, French Puff. It's now Mega Jump. It's now Mega Jump. You want to do Mega Jump. Because it kept getting... I wouldn't be a scammer artist because I'm not an artist. Yuck. But it's like, I know some gaming companies have ended up getting a bit screwed over by certain artists like this. See, Mega Jump. That's how you do that now. Did I miss the word of the day? Denison's not done their own word of the day. But what else is there? Oh yeah, because there's been like, I know a couple of game companies have hired artists that, you know, they've hired many times before. And then the artist was like, nah, I'm just going to do AI art now. And it's like, no! That's not what they paid for. They didn't pay for photoshopped AI art. Yeah, Mega Jumper. Now it feels like a lot less aggressive. But I had to just change it because of, you know... Discord, not Discord. YouTube being mean. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, whacked the microphone. I've got a book out. I've got the book. Let's go to the hand cams. The puff word was avakaboom. Avakaboom. French puff blew up again. Yeah! Look at that. Look at this. It's a book. Oh, little runes. Little runes scrawled on the side. That's a red corsair. He's trying to cut away the chaos taint that occurred upon him. But you can never get rid of chaos taint. Blood letter. I've been trying to build the last of the blood letters. I didn't get very far into building them. Oh, he's got a little bit of a thing on his horn. Where's my knife? Knife. Look at those hands. Look at these hands. Big old up. Does it feel like everything's a bit washed out today? Might be. The colours look a bit washed out to me. Yeah. I just stabbed myself. No! I go kaboom for your entertainment every hour. Look, I know French puffs, they only last for like 3 days and they just keep coming back. They're like cupcakes like that. They just keep coming back. Okay, we did the Green Menace. We did all of this stuff. We went through the Aeldari Scourge. Yeah, look at that. Outcasts and Exiles. Oh. Okay, that's a bit bright. If I press this button, it's a bit less bright. Oh, gosh. There we go. I had to Google what a French puff is. Looks tasty. Don't eat French puff. No. All right. Well, thanks for Aeldari here. Turned me into a banana. We share brain cells. I forgot. Okay, I need to like just... It's a bit too bright. It's a bit too bright. Video capture device. Bigger video. There we go. That's a bit better. That's better. So, let's read, shall we? Aeldari Corsairs. The Scourge of a Deep Void. Aeldari Corsairs, known to their people as the Anfri. Anoraf. The Anoraf. Piratical raiders who raid, reave and plunder across the galaxy aboard sleek vessels adorned with the dread iconography of their oft-capricious lords.
Misery's word of the day, bones. My favorite Aeldari units are the Wraith Lords because they have the look of someone that have a bone to pick.
I got a bone to pick with you because I'm made from Wraithborn. Hello, Douglas. How you doing? How you doing, Douglas? No, don't eat the Wraithbone. The Wraithbones are good. The Wraithbones are nice. And yeah, I'm having a wonderful day. There we go. That after Capricorn! They stalk the void in search... Wait, where's my knife? My knife. There we go. They stalk the void in search of riches and prestige. These peerless voidfarers would dare the galaxy's most treacherous regions to sate their endless desire for adventure and renown. For the boldest of the Anorath, even the Maelstrom holds no fear. Ooh, chop the Wraithbone. No, don't chop the Wraithbone. The Wraithbones are nice. We love Wraithbone over here. We love our Wraith Lords. I love Wraith Lords. I love Wraith Knights. I want to eventually get to Wraith Knight. I don't know which configuration I'd want to build because I do love the giant cannons that they can have. But also like the idea of just give it a big old sword. And then what else do you have? You have the Wraith Knights. Wraith Guard! Yeah, the Wraith Guard of the Wraith Blades. There have always been those amongst the Asiani who find the spirits aching for freedom, for a release from the strictures imposed by their society In Commonwealth too, many Drukhari chafe under the sinister rule of absolute threat, seeking to gather riches and experience new sensations without fear of a dagger in the back. Joining a Corsair crew is one of the few methods by which these restless souls may find the liberty and adventure they desire. Though they may be outcasts, most Corsair fleets maintain connections with one or more craft worlds. The Anarathi, who have been known to defend their Asiani kin at times of war, or to aid in them in crucial endeavours.
Pariah said French puffs look tasty. Got scared at first. Then I looked up French puffs. And she's right. Nom 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 nom.
No, don't eat French puff! The Titans are Wraith constructs, I think. Yeah, they are. They count as monsters, not vehicles. In the rules, Wraith Lords count as monsters, so do Wraith Knights, so do Phantom and Reaver Titans. Which is just hilarious to me. Also, you Elder ships can be Wraith. Does that mean their ships count as monsters, not vehicles? Oh. I like the Wraith Knights as swords, but I heard they are only good as snipers. I don't play Aeldari. No, the ones with swords aren't too bad. The ones with swords are basically all around us. You know, I can show you the rules. New recruit. So let's go down to the Aeldari, which are here. Yeah. So you got two types of Aeldari knights. You got the one with Ghostglaive, which is pretty fun. It gets 15 attacks normally at strength 8, AP -2, damage 2. So it's pretty good at dealing with hordes, marines, stuff like that. And it hits on threes. And its Star Cannon also hits on threes. And then you've also got its Ghostglaive, which does impressive work. Which can be like into anti-tank mode if it's damage 6. It's got Titanic Agility, allowing it to move around easier. It can have a 4+ invulnerable save and subtract 1 for the damage characteristic by replacing one of its weapons with a Star Shield. It can be equipped otherwise. You can remove its Scatter Shield and replace that with a Heavy Wraith Cannon, which is the one I absolutely adore. 2d6 damage, AP -4, strength 20, hits on threes, D3 attacks. Devastating wounds, 36-inch range. It can be armed with 2 scatter lasers, well, 2 weapons. Those 2 weapons can be scatter lasers, shuriken cannons, or star cannons. Without its scatter shield though, it loses its invulnerable save and its ability to reduce damage of attacks. As you can see, it counts as a monster. It counts as a walker as well. And Titanic. So it's pretty good. It's got toughness 12, 2+ armor save, 18 wounds. So it's not very tough. But what else is there? Monster, Phantom, Revenant Titan. Well, then you got the standard Wraith Knight, which can have scatter shields, and the scatter shield can be replaced with a Heavy Wraith Cannon. And then its other weapon, instead of a sword, can be a Sun Cannon, which, you know, anti-terminator weapon basically. D6+1, bit better against hordes. Or it can have 2 Heavy Wraith Cannons. It does have point blank devastation as a special ability. If it targets an enemy within half range, it can re-roll the dice to determine the number of attacks made, which makes it far more powerful. And at only 15 points, arguably for Wraith Knight for shooty Wraith Knight's better. But the Ghostglaive Wraith Knight is just generally a better all-rounder in terms of It moves quickly. It's you pretty much expecting it to possibly go into melee anyway, and it can pretty much deal with any threat it comes across in melee. So yeah, Wraith Knights are pretty decent. But why is it black? Wait. Oh, that's literally just a front page. It's just a front. I thought my camera failed, friend. I thought my camera failed. No, it's just the front page is dark. You can see my hand just kind of. Oh gosh, no, my camera didn't fail. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Wraith Knights, really fun. Whatever construction you go for. I think in melee they're not quite as... They're better at dealing with hordes than the melee versions of Imperial Knights, but they're not quite as good at taking on other big things. Like, I don't think their melee stat is quite as hard hitting against vehicles as an Imperial Knights one is. But here we go. Though they may be outcasts, most Corsairs fleets maintain connections with one or more craft worlds. The Anarath have been known to defend their Asiani kin at times of war or aid them in crucial endeavours. Corsair vessels also frequently travel to Comarath, its myriad of parts sparse, providing plentiful markets of their ill-gotten gains. These connections ensure that the Corsairs benefit from varied aspects of their species' technology, from the shuriken weapons employed by craft worlds, the neural disruptors operated by the Harlequins, to the dark light guns favoured by the Cabalite warriors. The Anarath are driven. I don't know if it's Anarathi or Anarath. I like to say Anarath. Oh, thanks for that head pat, Smile Man. Oh, how you doing? I'm not stinky. You're so mean. Utilising... Okay, the Anarath are driven to explore the galaxy and live a nomadic existence. Utilising hidden webway paths, they journey wildly in pursuit of trade routes to plunder, and are rarely associated with a particular region or space for long. By never staying in one place, Corsair fleets make it much harder for their foes to predict the pattern of their raids or draw them into a decisive battle. The few static bases of the Corsairs do possess are well concealed, often hidden amid gaseous nebulae, or at the heart of asteroid fields, shielded from all but the most committed foes. Void Raiders. There are hundreds of Corsair fleets operating across the galaxy, varying wildly in both size and infamy. However, even the largest Anarath fleets are minuscule compared to the gigantic sector fleets of the Nathis Imperialis, or the sprawling armadas of Abaddon the Despoiler. Often outmatched in firepower and numbers, Corsairs rely upon the devastating speed of their void ships and devious cunning of their commanders to incapacitate their prey and secure their prizes. In battle, Corsairs wield various weapon armour and war gear, the majority of which is light and portable. Thus, Corsair fleets are well suited for rapid close-quarter skirmishes, common to raids and boarding actions. They avoid protracted combat, escaping with their plunder before the foe can bring their strength to bear. Their full strength to bear. Hi, Erland, you full purple cupcake. Oh, that's Galaxy Cupcake. Galaxy Cupcakes is the side. As the name suggests, they consume galaxies. Yeah. Does that mean I'm like a multiversal threat or something? Like, if I can just conjure galaxy cupcakes and remove galaxy cupcakes, and galaxy cupcakes contain multiple galaxies and devour galaxies.
So what has the class learned today about Aeldari?
But the Drukhari and the craft worlders are willing to work together as long as it's a go-between with pirates. So there's one thing that craft worlders and Drukhari both have in common, and that's that they love pirate raiding. Yeah. Yo ho do 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 do. Do you think that they have Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's called like Corsairs of the Maelstrom? Corsairs of the Maelstrom with Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah. Hi Zeradwin, how you doing? Copper. No, so mean. Tongue out at you. The Corsairs' fleet's commanders possess towering charisma and no small amount of arrogance. Also, they are Captain Jack Sparrow, often bestowing upon themselves such audacious honorifics as Starbreaker, Gilded Drake, or Serpent King. Humanity, with its tenuous grasp on the Aeldari language, refers to these pirate leaders by the title Prince or Princess, terms reflecting their arrogant nobility. The fleets are ordinarily divided into smaller raiding groups known as coteries, and composed of corsair bands who serve as crew and warriors. Each band is led by a Felarch, an experienced voidfarer, who has earned the trust of their superiors in countless battles. While some fleets may number little more than a handful of coteries, and have a score of fewer void ships to their name, the largest may comprise hundreds of such raiding groups, with thousands of vessels. Ooh. Thousands of vessels. That's Crusader strength. Like, down here it talks about them not having the power to match. Coteries. Is that what it says? Did I just add a random R to the beginning? Oh yeah, it does. It's coteries. My dyslexia got me again. But yeah, they're talking about how they don't have the fleets to, the same numbers as the Navis Imperialis or Abaddon for the Spoiler. But they said they got thousands of vessels here in the larger fleets. I've just been learning about the Indomitus Crusade and stuff, and like how they're talking about like having 1,000 ships in one place and how rare that is and how difficult it is to do. And yeah, they've got literally thousands of vessels. That's enough to like compete with Abaddon's ships and like 13th Crusade and the massive crusades that like the Indomitus Crusade. Now, the Indomitus Crusade had hundreds of fleets, each of them with thousands of ships. But you have to remember that none of those fleets were it's very rare that those fleets were actively supporting each other, unless like one of the fleets was massively reduced in numbers and as a result they get combined. Like usually if one fleet goes out to one direction, another fleet goes out to another direction. And those fleets are generally not as large as that. The idea of thousands of vessels. I mean, unless these vessels are just like really small, it includes like boarding craft and stuff like that. In which case, okay, yeah. Because Imperial, like even a tiny Imperial fleet has hundreds of, what's it called? Boarding craft and, minor ships. fighters and stuff like that and bombers. Yeah. Oh wait, what's this? To be fair, they would mostly be escort class vessels, where a crusade would be thousands of capital class vessels. At least would be my understanding. I get a full crusade fleet, like, do you know, the one that invaded the Tau would be, as far as I'm aware, hundreds. It would be about 1,000 or more ships. Most of them would be escort vessels. Or like there'll be a couple of escort vessels to pretty much every larger ship. You then have a bunch of larger ships that aren't, you know, then the next most numerous one will be the likes of cruisers. And then you're going to get into your actual capital ships, your battleships, your flagships, stuff like that, and larger things. Darn it. Darn it. There we go. Hi, Timothy Armstrong. I got into 40k in 2018, but I was like, hi, Talan. Are you reading Aeldari lot? No, we're not reading it again. We're reading it for the first time. All the other times we've tried to get to this thing. Like, first we read up to about here. So this much. Then we read this much. And now we're finally up to the first page of Aeldari lore. So this is the first time we've read about the Aeldari. It's not again. We tried to last time. I thought we might reach it, but we didn't. What did you read the last 2 times? When you here, Talan? Wasn't me. You weren't paying attention at all. The first time we read about, you know, like this entire, about the Maelstrom and the timeline and where everything was in the Maelstrom. So we got the Maelstrom here. Then we read about Huron Blackheart and his companions and compatriots. And the Red Corsairs, which are not Aeldari. They're chaos. They're chaos. You don't care about... But we didn't read Aeldari lore last time. We just started Aeldari lore today. It was all chaos, and we did a little bit about orcs. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Talan's just fair being... I can't believe how expensive it was just to start 40k. The codex and models for my Salamander Space Marines cost you $450. Yeah, it's expensive, especially...
And we're in class, sit down and listen to the teacher.
Yeah. Owen Blackheart and his band of merry men. Yeah, Owen Blackheart. Was it a big army? Yeah, the further you get away from Britain, the more expensive Warhammer becomes. To be honest, I don't buy the codexes. I got the Black Templar codex, and I've got the Guardsman codex. The Guardsman codex came with a Battle Force. The Black Templar codex I finally just decided to get myself. The teacher isn't teaching. I just realised that I have a Steel Legion drap paint, but never knew what that meant, or it refers to a guard regiment. Yeah, it does refer to a guard regiment. There's a bunch of paints that refer to things that they don't sell at the moment, like models, whether it be like Orc War bands, old fantasy stuff, like Outdoor Blue. There's actually a bunch of paints named after old fantasy stuff that technically doesn't exist in the board game anymore. We can still see it all, most of it anyway, in Total War. Warhammer. Ah yes, the British paradox. The further from Britain you are, the nicer the weather, but the more expensive Warhammer is. I mean, at least we don't get things like typhoons and stuff over in Britain, so I guess our weather's nicer in that regard. I actually bought an Odin medium-sized model set. For my Salamander Space Marines, where they had scale mail armor type stuff instead of the traditional armor you see nowadays. Ooh. Oh, is that for old Forge Road models? Because I know some of the old Forge Road models had stuff like that. There's also some conversion sets you can buy from the likes. I don't think they
She says she doesn't buy codices while reading what a codex is at this point. since the rules in a codex are invalid at time of print.
It's true. That is literally buying codexes at the moment. The only reason you want to buy them is if you want to use the official Warhammer app. And I'm hoping their next update either allows you to buy digital codexes via the app, or through like a subscription you just get free access to all of the codexes via the app, that is. Like, for buying the codex, the reason you buy a codex is because you want to read the lore. That's what you get at this point. This is why I don't mind this. In addition, this actually has a load of cool rules, like how to do multiplayer battles and stuff like that. The other thing is, if you're in a place where you don't get, like, good internet access and stuff like that, having access to at least one set of the rules is nice. Or if you just don't like using your phone or like your digital things, so you don't want to print paper off, having these things is nice. But yeah. But for codexes are just very expensive, and then you're gonna have to, and then they only last like a few years, then you're gonna have to get more of them, and they just take up so much room. I don't want to throw them away or anything. I buy the codexes for the lore and for art, yeah. They don't do as much as they used to in that regard, but that's partly because, you know, copyright stuff. But mostly for lore. Yeah, I live in Texas, so it's hard to find cheap models or 40k. I was a D&D player, it's expensive for me as well living here. Yeah. I guess one thing about Texas is that a lot of other basic costs are down. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I knew a while ago when I was looking at Texas. I was like, oh, why is there so many, like, various companies out of Texas doing, like, small companies? It's because apparently Texas is very cheap for that stuff. At least compared to a lot of other places. Don't know if that's still the case. Every codex should be just lore run-throughs, lore updates of the last codex and campaigns and editions. And cool art at this point. The rules are just cool to have. Yeah, no, the rules are useful. But that's also one of the reasons I've done data cards. Because the rules are useful, like... I often think if you're playing the game, sometimes it's nicer to have access to books and stuff where you can just flick through the pages, rather than fiddling with your phone and stuff like that. So that's kind of why you'd have that sort of stuff. Now, it might not necessarily be up to date, but honestly, a lot of casual players, they're not going to be playing. They're not going to care too much about the rules being up to date or using the latest balanced data sheets or whatever. They're just going to be, this is the rules in my codex, that's what I'm using. So I guess there's some use there. But I'm going to use a little bionic baby. So, within the oh no, let's look at this. Mercenary motives. Oh my gosh, my screen just turned off. Not all Corsairs are tolerated as adventurous outcasts by others of their species. Some sell their services to the highest bidder, uncaring of ties of blood. There are those who are vilified, preying upon craft-road ships and commerite raiding parties alike. Such courtiers have been known to strike bargains with other species, but will contemptuously slaughter their alien paymasters post-raid should they see the profit in doing so. Yeah. Within the Maelstrom, I love 40k so much I even bought the Owlcat Games, Rogue Trader. Oh, we started playing that yesterday, yay! We just did the bit where we finally got control of the ship. We're barely through that. So it's just, I really want to get hold of a melter gun. I've heard that they're really, really bad unless you use the Aeldari melter weapons. Such is the overpowering urge of the Anarath to explore. Such the overpowering urge of the Anarath to explore for a few regions of the galaxy into which they will not stray. Most Aeldari would bark at straying too close to a warp respell interseas, such as the Maelstrom, fearful of falling prey to she who thirsts. Corsairs, however, possess a reckless and adventurous streak. The Maelstrom contains many pirate bases, transit routes, webway gates, and lost Aeldari worlds, all of which provide rich pickings of abode. Over a millennia, several corsair fleets have raided shipping routes in this region, attacking freighters and military vessels alike, regardless of their allegiance. Imperial traders and sector patrols, kin prospectors, and formidable flotillas of chaos warships have suffered at the hands of the Anarath. The Sunblitz Brotherhood, their rivals the Sky Raiders, were heavily active here at the height of the Badab War, exploiting that conflict to raid isolated worlds. The Eldritch Raiders have now turned their attention to the Maelstrom. Their raiding fleets have attracted the ire of Huron Blackheart, who sees them as a threat to his authority and would like nothing more than to eliminate them. Ooh. The Eldritch Raiders, Exiled Laws. The Eldritch Raiders are the most successful corsair fleets to have ever stalked the deep void. As elusive as they are deadly, they have stormed, plundered and seized thousands of forge ships, making mortal enemies of the Imperium, the followers of Chaos, and many alien species besides. The genesis of the Eldritch Raiders can be traced back to Aeden's conflict with Chaos warlord Agran Calorax. That decade-long conflict ended violently with the death of Calorax at the hands of Aeden's brilliant High Admiral Prince Uriel of the House of Ulfanash. In achieving this victory, however, Uriel had left Aeden undefended, and a stray cyclonic missile fired by the last of Calorax's vessels struck the craft world. Thousands of Aeden's citizens died of a wake of the impact, and thus, Uriel was not feted for his victory, but instead condemned for his recklessness. In anger, the young prince left Aeden into self-imposed exile, taking with him a sizable portion of the Craftworld's fleet and many loyal supporters. Yeah, Owen needs more Cornish-class cruisers, and Nypheus may have targeting, scrambling systems, but it's nothing a huge amount of bird can't fix. So as far as I'm aware, Aeldari Corsair ships are a bit different compared to normal.
Cupcake. The universe is preventing me from petting the cat again. Frown. It's making me sad.
You just have to wait 35 seconds. Don't worry about it. Also, where's Cuptle gone? Cuptle. There you go. Hi. Hi. There you go. Head pat. Yay. Cuptle, do you want to share the head pat? Cuptle. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Aeldari Corsair ships are different from normal ships. From normal Aeldari. They're more like Drukhari in a way. So they not only have like targeting scrambling systems, a lot of them will have those weird void shields that kind of just make your weapons disappear. On top of this, they usually appear from nowhere and like attack much closer to you and do much more boarding practices and very fast torpedo strikes. So an attack with dozens of very small ships that just usually from behind at the sides of you smash you with a bunch of missiles, have a bunch of boarding parties quickly follow up and then disappear again. So yeah, it's very, very hard to fight from. In the Maelstrom as well, it's very hard to target anyway. And the Aeldari are much, much better suited at going through the Maelstrom because, as it said, there's webway portals still in the Maelstrom. And they can still access the webway. As a result, they have a much easier time traversing it. Especially with all the Aeldari planets, which act as basically beacons for them. So as long as they know where the Aeldari planets are, well, they always know where the Aeldari planets are, even with them moving around a Maelstrom, thanks to a web wave, they can still get around very easily and get to their bases. In addition, usually most of their bases will have web wave portals and stuff set up as well. So, you know, they're going to have a much easier time appearing, destroying you, getting out of there, and that's going to be hell for someone like Herwin to have to deal with. On top of that, they're basically just going to be gaining all of the advantages of being in the Maelstrom with very few of the downsides. Outside of, like, they appear from their webway ports and immediately get destroyed by a warp storm. Or their psychers suddenly all go boom, and because they're all psychers, they all go boom. This is the best stream feature in my opinion. Thank you. So in terms of tabletop BFG, Corsairs are faster but lighter armoured than craft world vessels. They also hit harder. But Dark Eldar hit harder and faster than even Corsair ships. Yeah, that makes sense. I know in Battlefleet Gothic 2, the Corsair ships are really, really, really good at boarding. And that's going to probably be a bit more accurate to the current lore than old Battlefleet Gothic. Just because the Corsairs have a lot more new lore and ideas to them than before. I also know that I believe they use a mixture of Drukhari and Drukhari and Aeldari ships, or Ashiani, whatever you want to call them, alongside their own Corsair vessels. They don't use any other big vessels, like the... I don't think the Drukhari actually have... No, they do have big vessels. Yeah, the Drukhari have access to some absolutely massive vessels, and so do the Aeldari. You can't play a craft world, which is sad. You can't just put down a craft world. But yeah, the Corsairs of the other hand, they've just got access to small ships. So I don't think Herwin Blackhearts. Also, you have to remember that I think 3 of the largest Aeldari Corsair fleets exist within the Maelstrom. Yeah, I think it's about 3 of them. I know the largest one does, because that's basically Prince Uriel, or one of the most important anyway. So they have like numbers that can compete with him. And they can attack from anywhere. He's not in a very good position to be able to fight them. The shielding system of Eldar-type vessels are targeting, scrambling, and anything that doesn't get accuracy penalty, i.e. lance weapons. Get a 2+ save against successful attacks. Yeah! In Battlefleet Gothic, it's a similar thing that they have access to. As in, like, the video game, too. Except, what does it do? Oh, yeah, like, every single time they get attacked, every single time a weapon would hit them, there's a chance it will just miss them entirely. I believe they still have access to normal shields, but it's not as much as you'd expect. And the hulls are surprisingly tough. I thought they'd be more fragile than they are. I don't think they're as fragile as the Tau equivalents of them, which actually makes sense. The Tau have to... The Tau mostly abide by the laws of physics. The Aeldari don't. This is why Carnage is very good against Eldar. It has stacker and range on its side. Yeah. I don't think they're necessarily going to be... Obviously, you have to remember lore. Aeldari ships are much more dangerous in lore than they are in Battlefleet Gothic. For ships that are most dangerous in lore than they are in Battlefleet Gothic are Aeldari and Necron ships predominantly, while ships that are weaker in lore than Battlefleet Gothic are typically Tyranids and Tau ships. You can kind of see, like, you know, the advantages and stuff that these ships have anyway. Like, every single time, at least I've seen them in lore, like, they seem to do they seem to be... All the advantages that they have on the tabletop are just, like, multiplied effectively. Meanwhile, all the disadvantages of one side are multiplied. I think orcs are also a little bit worse than in-law, but I think for orcs, it's for purposely a very large range of how well they do. Where some ships will just fall apart without anyone even shooting at them, while other ships will just tank anything you can throw at them. And in theory, they could be two of the exact same type of ship. But that's just because orcs, you know what they're like. But every single time I've read about Tyranid ships in lore, it's usually just them getting torn to pieces. With the only exception is when they either have surprise on their side or just absolute numbers. Oh, the only exception actually, no, onto that is either surprise, absolute numbers, or where their psychic attack has basically been so crippling to the crew of a ship that they've effectively just been unable to defend themselves. Their systems are just can't target any of the Tyranid ships. They don't know where they are. They're having to try visually tracking ships. Meanwhile, the navigators have just gone absolutely insane. And all the other psychers are exploding. Servo schools are just exploding all over the place. Similarly, demon ships and stuff do the exact same thing, but all that exploding usually comes with, you know, a bunch of demons also just raiding your ship from all directions. Without having to even send a boarding party. So, yeah. Oh yeah, in lore, I believe the Aeldari ships are a lot more dangerous than, you know, you would suspect from anything else. Well, that being said, that's just true of Eldar and Necrons and stuff in general, in which Eldar in lore are described as being faster than Space Marines and not much weaker, with their armor being much better than like Imperial Guardsman armor and stuff. Despite how thin it is. You are seeing a bit more of that, I guess, in current stuff, but really all Eldar should have, like, the Fights First ability. Or, like, a special version of Fights First, which is just, like, Eldar only. Like, they always fights first, except against other Fight First enemies. Oh... If they should all be like strength 4 with the blooming what's it called, warriors being like strength 5, or what are they called, aspect warriors being like strength 5 with always hitting on 2s. It's very weird. Although that being said, we did read Aeldari ships tend to be able to punch up even on tabletop. This is scary and consider it means that the most numerous ships are capable of tearing battleships apart. Yeah. I know Aeldari are glass cannons in Battlefleet Gothic from what I've seen. But what else is there? Oh yeah, that one thing is when we did read in Combat Patrol about the Aeldari Corsairs appearing suddenly, the Aeldari in that story were absolutely pathetic. They couldn't fell even a single Space Marine, even though they got the jump on the Space Marines. Actually, I think technically they got jumped by the Space Marines. Like, while they were raiding the vessel, they kind of just didn't expect the Space Marines to be waiting in ambush for them. But yeah, for the Aeldari in general, in fact, we didn't get to really see them much in space, but it sounded like they were very even with the Chaos ships that they were fighting. So, it's very, very weird. Again, all the lore depends on who's telling you the lore. But What's this? Anyway, what's this? Following their departure from Aeldari, Uriel and his exiles founded the Eldritch Raiders, utilizing haunts once inhabited by Calavrax and his followers. The Raiders set about continuing their war against Chaos. Their efforts soon brought them into conflict with the Imperial Man. The desperate humans, unable to hunt Uriel and his fleet down or match them with prowess and void conflict, attempted instead to foster warfare between the Eldritch Raiders and two rival fleets. These plans soon backfired and the Eldritch Raiders absorbed both, incorporating their vessels and warriors and nearly doubling the number of ships at Uriel's command. Thus began the transformation of the Eldritch Raiders into the most powerful and renowned Corsair fleet of the galaxy. The success of the Eldritch Raiders have seen them establish a dread reputation across the galaxy. I love that. They use dread reputation quite often in this book. Uriel's courtiers have undertaken countless daring raids against other species, many of which are whispered of with awe, even in the conservative societies of the craft worlds. Baron Feller's Agents of Silence, a courtier of the Eldritch Raiders, famed for both audacity and stealth, stole into the tomb of Overlord Sefretz, plucked the Necron's scepter of office from the heart of his still awakening crypt, and departed before the furious Overlord rose from stasis. Meanwhile, the Eyes of Opal have raided the Eye of Terror on a dozen or more occasions, risking mind, body, and soul to scour the surfaces of throne worlds for race stones and invaluable relics of the Aeldari Empire. The prince's personal courtier, Uriel's own, is perhaps the most storied. It was they who braved the psych phantoms of the Urguls of Cosimar to recover the lost heirlooms of the House of Yaladish, who put an end to the Void Lord Hyrillian of the Hyrillian Quadrant, and who on multiple occasions led the Eldritch Raiders to Aedan's aid in its most desperate hours of need. Into the Maelstrom, it was the arrival upon Uriel's bridge of the Mask of a Midnight Sorrow, a Harlequin troop, and set the Eldritch Raiders on a course to the Maelstrom. The infernal Gaia is known to the Aeldari as Wer Rumluf of a Nightmare Gulf, and while other Corsair fleets had long hunted on its tides, Uriel's fate had so far led along different paths. There the followers of Kegorak claimed in forgotten ruins buried beneath shifting sands, and in the iron grip of tyrants lay incredible artifacts, weapons that could change the fate of their dying species. The Harlequins requested aid in recovering those relics, promising that the Eldritch Raiders would have their pick of priceless treasures, for which any Archon or Asiani noble would exchange a dozen fortunes. The offer was eagerly accepted, but the politics of Uriel's craft world home had begun to weigh heavily upon his soul. Days later, with Flame of Asian at its head, the Void fleet of Eldritch Raiders followed the Harlequins into Aedan's Webway Gate, leaving the ghost holes of the craft world behind. Kosef, the Aethermancer. Right, why are we discussing Kosef before Prince Uriel? That's interesting. Kosef is the greatest of Void Dreamers, a star guide whose psychic senses are attuned to the very fabric of reality, and who can plot a path through phenomena that would see lesser navigators brought to ruin. Only a handful of Corsairs demonstrate the talent and discipline to wield psychic powers safely, and all are eagerly sought after. Many serve as soul reavers, granted guardianship of fallen Anorath soulstones, and capable of calling upon their inhabitants' aid during raids, or as race seekers who see solitary corsair vessels safely through the webway or warp anomalies. A vanishingly small number of way seekers develop their talents to the extent that they may become void dreamers, intimately attuned to the fabric of real space. These skilled seers can perceive the faintest traces of cosmic radiation billowing from distant stars, discern the overlapping graphitic fields of celestial bodies, and sense the thrumming resonance of void ships light years distant. Of all the void dreamers to have journeyed the stars, Kasef is the most powerful. Their talents are such that they can guide an entire fleet, enabling the Eldritch Raiders to thread the formations of void ships through minefields. The gasping fingers of predatory warp storms, the gaseous spurs of corrosive nebula, and the narrowest and most convoluted of webway tunnels. With Karsef's talents to call upon, the few phenomena the Eldritch Raiders cannot navigate, and even few victims capable of escaping their clutches. Okay, so this means that he is the perfect guide of a Maelstrom. Going through ancient webway corridors that have been long thought lost, and also just guiding through the Maelstrom in general. Meaning, you know, I don't know how many of those Carnage cast cruisers is really going to help him in this situation. Bro, if Navigator +++. Yep. Bro is a Navigator. Just better than a Navigator in every single regard by a massive amount. It's like, oh, how many Navigators does your fleet need? Well, each ship has like 20 Navigators on board, with generally one being in charge. It's like, oh, well, how many Navigators does your fleet have? One. Like, what? One? It's like, oh, it must be really hard, because for our Navigators, even to guide one ship across real space, it's really, really hard. And it's like, oh, no, it's easy. We go through the Maelstrom, go through ancient things, webway areas, go through minefields. It's pretty easy, actually. Doesn't even strain himself. It's like, how many ships are in your fleet? Thousands? Thousands, tens of thousands. It's like, with just one Navigator. Yeah, he just communicates between all the ships instantaneously. Also, he noticed like your fleet was coming. You know, like half a galaxy away. Oh gosh, the Aeldari trying not to be overpowered in lore. Oh gosh. Neither Corsair's gifts restricted to navigation. Most void dreamers find the sensory overstimulation of a battlefield to be an unbearable nightmare that induces agony and delirium. Corsair, however, okay, I guess that's one way that navigators are more powerful than, oops, I just whacked a microphone, sorry. More powerful than Star Weavers, in which navigators, literally you can just play a navigator, just any standard navigator in.
Local navigator gets aneurysm, quoted as saying, "This is why I hate knife ears."
Yeah, but at least with navigators, you can just literally play a navigator in standard 40k and just be like, yeah, my navigator's going to join the battle. Also, do you know that Titan over there? He's going to blast it with his eye. It's like, what? Wait, how powerful is it now? I know that the eye thing can, like, absolutely decimate or can be deadly to units. But I know that in lore, they used to have a thing about, like, the eye of, like, certain navigators could bring low vehicles and even damage knights and titans. Like, I just want to know how powerful actually is a navigator now. Allied units, navigator. I don't think they're actually that good at the moment. No, I mean, it can damage things. Yeah, it can still damage vehicles. It's just not hitting them super hard. Nah. Yeah, basically, now for eye abilities, just take a battle shock test. If you fail it, subtract 2 if it's an infantry unit, and if you fail, for suffer 3 mortal wounds, which is okay. I mean, in theory, they can literally just look at a Titan and inflict 3 mortal wounds on it, which is hilarious. I mean, for 73, it's not that bad. It's not like before where it was like a strength 8 term. This is back when the armor could go up to 14. And it was like AP -3. And it could inflict multiple damages. So in theory, it could actually do quite hefty damage to a Titan. And bring down its void fields. If they got it taken out void fields, because they were like armor 12. The third eye can basically unmake stuff. It'll be like beaming the material right at something. Yeah. I remember when they first added the thing. It was like D6 attacks at strength 8, AP. Yeah, I think it was AP -3. Or was it back when they just ignored armor save completely? But because it was strength 8 and void for shields counted as armor 12, and if you basically rolled to hit them or break them, if you hit them and did enough to do with glancing or penetrating hit against them, you didn't roll on a table, just got rid of a void field. And being a strength 8 weapon that got multiple attacks and hit on 2s, it could just absolutely annihilate these shields. Like, you just put down, here's my Warlord Titan. It's got... No, it doesn't have any void shields, never mind. The Navigator got rid of it. Well, no, but I guess we can't really quantify Control Alt Delete as an attack these days. It kind of does. 3 mortal wounds. Is okay. There's no armor save, there's no invulnerable save against it. It's just, hey, look, those 3 guys over there. Just, they've disappeared. Throw it into the warp. Oh yeah, and enemy units can't set up within 12 inches of them, it's okay. I think that's what it was, which was pretty good. I might be misremembering or getting it confused with something else though, so don't quote me. Try to remember very old, was it Imperial armor? They didn't even have official models back then for things like navigators. If this was back when they just gave you, like, here's a bunch of rules or something. Here's a bunch of rules or something that we don't have any models for, and we have no plan to make any models for. I've ever stopped doing that as much. But anyway, yeah, Karsev, however, is capable of tolerating such strains upon their psyche. They perceive the subtle alterations in submolecular resonance that herald the warp translation of vessels, the imminent teleportation of enemy combatants, the approach of incoming aircraft, or the passage of infiltrators through dense terrain. This they do with such accuracy that foes are often met with a fusillade of guiding fire before they can so much as call out in surprise. That Karsev willingly suffers a sensory trauma inflicted by such conflicts leads some Anorath to claim that Uriel has some sort of hold over the Aethermancer, whether a secret kept or debt owed, or some other binding factor. Whatever pact has been sworn between the two, it remains sealed with silence. What I find actually quite amusing, I've just been thinking about while reading, is that if your Corsairs have Drukhari within them, and it's a big enough fleet, in theory, your Corsairs don't need to fear death for 2 reasons. 1, soulstones. 2, if you can just get a Drukhari homunculi to join your Corsair group, or you can just bargain with the homunculi on Commonwealth, which you probably wouldn't be too hard. You can probably just, you know, do what the Dark Eldar do and just bring back your people. It's like, oh no, I died. Well, I got better. Oh gosh. It is weird though that they are doing more and more stuff of bringing, you know, people who are meant to be on ships down onto the ground. Because they've done the same with what's-her-face back here. Captain Sagata. They did the same with that admiral from, that is with Titus. They've done the same with navigators. They've done the same with navy commanders. And they're doing the same with Karseth here and stuff. They seem really focused on getting Battlefleet Gothic characters onto the battlefield. I see death as a mild inconvenience. Yeah. I kind of now want to make a small Drukhari army. You know, that's just meant to represent the homunculi who travel with my own Corsairs now. Karseth wears Radiant. Oh yeah, whatever pact has been sworn, with these two, it remains sealed with silence. Karseth wears Radiant and carries tools reminiscent of those borne by seers of the Asiani. Warding rune armor shields her body from harm, while their void helm filters external stimuli. That's why it's book-shaped. Much like the psychically attuned helms of Wraith constructs, the void helm enables Karseth to see the soul traces of his friends and foes, which prevents unnecessarily sensory overload, allowing them to concentrate on detecting far more faint, but often more crucial sensory input. Karseth's powers can also be channeled offensively, aided by focusing the power of their race staff. Their empiric manifestations alter the fabric of reality to echo the worst horrors of the void, immolate foes in bursts of starfire, or subject them to dreadful cold and lung-collapsing depressurization. Ooh. Prince Uriel! High Admiral of Ireden's fleet and Lord for Eldritch Raiders, Prince Uriel of the House of Ulfanash is among the galaxy's most gifted naval commanders. When battle is joined, he demonstrates a daring, unusual even by the standards of his peers, fighting with a skill reminiscent of the ancient horrors of Aeldari myth. Prince Uriel was a mere youth when he took his first steps on the path of command. Though not of pure Ireden blood, he soon earned the respects of even his harshest critics, rising to command the Craftworld's fleet and demonstrating his genius in countless wars. Yet he was not without his flaws. Arrogance and pride were Uriel's sins, and they would conspire to see him leave Ireden in anger. Though he has long since made amends with the people of his Craftworld, and been its salvation on more than one occasion, the law of the void has never relinquished its grip upon his soul. The Corsair Prince. Uriel has given much for his Craftworld, and his loyalty to his home is without question. But he has often found himself at odds with its leaders. The Seer Council has long been dismayed by his arrogance and recklessness. However, when freed from the strictures of Asiani society, Uriel has transformed these perceived flaws into assets. As a void commander, Uriel is almost without equal. Insightful, decisive, and willing to take risks few Asiani war leaders would countenance. He has led Eldritch Raiders to crushing victories over fleets far superior in numbers and firepower. Under his command, they have earned more wealth and prestige than any other fleet. The Outcast Prince is no less daring amidst the dangerous flow of close quarters combat. When it comes to boarding actions and lightning raids, he demonstrates near mythical prowess as a warrior, leading from front and by example. Uriel accompanies his crew into the fray and revels in the cut and thrust of melee combat. He wields Spear of Twilight, having taken it up with the defence of his home during a Tyranid invasion. Later revealed to be one of the ancient Crone worlds of Aeldari myth, Crone swords, sorry, crone swords. Ah, my dyslexia. Later revealed to be one of the ancient crone swords of Aeldari myth, this potent and cursed weapon slowly drains the life force of those who wield it, and once claimed cannot be cast aside until death takes the bearer. So this is basically just the opposite of Farsight's sword. Farsight's sword gives him long life. This one just takes his life. Could you imagine if it's literally just the opposite of Farsight's sword? Like, Uriel's life is just being fed into Farsight. I do like Uriel's flaw. Basically cost his craft build. He never expected the plague feat that cost him his command to do that kamikaze one. Yeah. Although you should really expect chaos to work like that. Chaos, that is a defining feature of chaos constantly. And it really just, I think that does really shine a light on his pride and arrogance. In which it's such a common thread. Like, read Kyphius Kane, read Gaunt's Ghosts. Read the recent books with, I say recent, they're not that recent anymore. Dawn of Fire and stuff, Avenging Sun. And the one thing that you can count on Chaos to do is just completely ignore any threat to its own safety and just sacrifice itself to destroy you. Heck, half the time you don't know exactly why it's sacrificing itself. Sometimes it could just be because, you know, they're crazy. Other times it's because there's a specific goal in mind and you might not recognize that goal until it's too late. Which often means it kind of rewards very cautious groups against them. Or ones who just really, really know what they're doing against chaos. Was 3 repulsives that made the run. Those ships are by most standards mainline ships. If they are not engaging, it's usually retreating, but they broke through the Aeldari to make the run. Oh. I mean, still. You can kind of expect that from them. Well, yeah. And that being said, sometimes you have to be daring against chaos, even if that's the kind of thing they're going to do. And sometimes you have to try baiting that sort of stuff from them. But where are we? The Outcast Prince is no less daring amidst the dangerous flow caused Carter's combat. When it comes to boarding actions and lightning... Oh no, we did that one. Many a monstrous foe has met their end upon the tip of this exquisite lethal weapon. Prince Uriel's secondary weapon may not be as immediately apparent as a spear, but it's no less lethal. The so-called Eye of Wrath is a monocular device that covers his left eye, and at the merest psychic impulse from its wearer unleashes a tempest of searing lightning upon its nearby foes. Yeah, so it's basically just a knockoff Bale Eye. But it's nice to see that his pride in his own abilities blindsided him at that point. He thought he'd run as the rest of the fleet turned tail, only to be told Cuptle's ships are bearing down on Iredon. Yeah. Hi, Lord Grandmaster. I can only imagine the sinking feeling. Yeah. I mean, it is nice of a pride to actually be a flaw. Or at least have cost him. Even if he didn't necessarily learn his proper lesson from it. Because often you get like this, you know, flaw of a character. It's like, the flaw is pride and arrogance. And it's like, well, the pride and arrogance is well earned and they never really suffer from it. Like, like, these things really need to be a flaw if you're going to save up for flaws. Similar being, it's like if your flaw is being too cautious, you need them to suffer from being cautious. But very often they just don't. More than one sneering rival has thought Uriel at their mercy, only for the prince to break into a crooked smirk and the eye of wrath's baleful energies to reduce them to smoldering ash. Craft roads connections. Uriel and his senior corsairs will accept most Asciani, Exodite or Drukhari willing to pledge their service. The bulk of his crew members have always been Iodans. Whilst many, particularly amongst the young members of Iodin society, view Uriel and his crew as heroic adventurers and protectors, not all of the Craftworld citizenry approve of the Eldritch Raiders and the charismatic leader. Traditionists and elders, particularly the followers of the spirit seer Arenal, view the renowned corsairs quite differently, condemning Prince Uriel's influence as unbefitting one who once held such a high rank upon the craft world. They abhor his reckless aggression, being that humans in particular see little distinction between the Anorath and Asciani. They believe such aggression draws undue attention and risks bringing the wrath of the Imperium at any of the foes down upon the depleted Aeldari and Iodin specifically. And he must be depleting their reserves of people very quickly. Like, I imagine he goes through soldiers quicker than your average Aeldari craft world, and Aeldari craft worlds already struggle replacing the soldiers they lose. And if he's constantly recruiting from the craft world, then... Is Iodin one of the ones that has some lots of Wraithguard already? Or is that a different one? Because he could just be like losing soldiers, bringing back the stones, replenishing their numbers of Wraithguard and Wraith Knights and stuff. Rebirth and Resurgence. During his time bearing the Spear of Twilight, Uriel has lost much of his figure. Only through force of will did he stave off the worst of its effects. By the time he fell at the rotting hands of the demon prince, Garaglaw, he had been reduced to a shadow of his former self. His subsequent resurrection by Ythrain, the self-proclaimed chosen of Yenid, saw her return to him much of her vitality stolen by the cursed Crone Sword. Though freed temporarily from the weapon's curse, Uriel knew that he could not relinquish it, not while the great enemy still threatened Iodin's future, and so he took up the Spear of Twilight once more, his fate forestalled rather than averted. At first, he looked Geophane's cause with hope. However, as the Yennari's quest to bring about apoptosis of her slumbering god descended into extremism and zealotry, Uriel came to question her methods. He petitioned Iodin's Seer Council to allow him to redirect his efforts and seek out and engage the rising tides of chaos. Though he was not without support of the Council, his entreaties were denied. Theirs was a craft world of ghosts. Oh yes, there is a craft world of ghosts. Arenal proclaimed and none understood the deed more deeply than Ythrain. Iodin had made its choice. Embittered, Uriel retreated to the bridge of his flagship and considered his next move. The arrival of a Mask of Midnight Sorrow and their tales of lost Aeldari treasures in the Maelstrom provided the disillusioned High Admiral with an avenue to vent his frustrations. He would not stand by and watch his craft world follow a misguided prophet into damnation. He would go on his own way. He would seek out and recover the lost treasures of his people. He would make war on the galaxy's lesser species, and with fortune at his side, he would strike telling blows against the great enemy. Should Iadon petition him for aid, he would answer the call of his beloved home, as he always had done. Until then, he and his eldest raiders would wage their own campaigns, and so Uriel summoned his captains, readied Flame of ASEAN for war, and followed the Mask of Midnight Sorrow into the maddening depths of a Maelstrom. So he's on that new game plus grind. He got the end game weapon, and now doing it all again. Yeah! What? No. It's not new game plus. It sounds he's doing the Dark Souls thing of, he lost to the boss and he got resurrected. So now he's collecting souls again. He's just getting more experience and stuff. Ooh, Sky Reavers, Corsair Shock Troops. Sorry, I'm just whacking my hand there. Corsair Shock Troops. When the Anarath descend upon their prey, speed and agility are their foremost weapons. Sky Reavers often form the spearhead of such an assault, using their winged jump packs to close the enemy, unleash death and retreat before the stunned victims can respond. During raids, boarding actions and other skirmishes, the crews of Corsair vessels form into loose bands, often connected by fleeting friendships and temporary alliances. These versatile warriors bring a variety of skills learned in the grim streets of a dark city, from the military teachings of the craft roads, or simply for experience earned reaving along the cosmic pathways of the void. Individual Corsairs are often given free rein by the commanders to choose their roles in boarding actions and raids. The boldest and most impetuous of their number usually serve as Sky Reavers. These units are outfitted with winged jump packs that combine compact jet thrusters and gravitic technology, granting the bearer exceptional agility and enabling them to jinx, leap, and evade amid battle. Sky Reavers wield a righteous array of weapons, from power swords and shuriken pistols to fusion weaponry, monofilament projectors, and cruelly barbed raiding hooks, and are usually amongst the first to engage the enemy in combat. Corsair War Gear. The sheer variety of weapons borne by Corsair warriors makes it rare to see two Sky Reaver bands equipped alike. Power blades, shredders, flamers, and shuriken weapons abound, are all well suited to close confines of boarding actions. The Felarks who command Sky Reaver bands often use more esoteric firearms and war gear, including mist shields. These fan-brace mounted force field generators provide an extra and much welcome layer of protection. Yeah, generally, the commanders of Corsairs usually have a 4+ invulnerable save from having a mist shield. And when it says esoteric weapons, generally that's a neurodisruptor. Or fusion pistol. Raiders at war. Often few lightly equipped and lacking in discipline, Corsair courtiers are cunning and surprise. Use cunning and surprise to achieve victory. A favoured tactic of many Corsair warbands is to use vampire raiders to deploy bands of Sky Reavers. Oh wait, vampire raiders are still a thing, because they don't have a vampire raider anymore as a model, do they? Guys, if I just look this up, vampire Aeldari, Eldar vampire. Yeah, they don't have them anymore. It's a giant. I think it's an old Forge World ship. There we go. Yeah. Anything yet? Nope. This thing. That is a vampire raider. I've not seen them mentioned in lore for a while. So... yeah, as you can see, it's an absolutely massive ship. I think it was a Forge World model. I say ship, it's plane. You can see them in space battles and stuff as well. But yeah, that's like the cockpit of them. If you compare that to like the biggest fleets that they currently have, Xenos armies, Aeldari, they no longer sell Phantoms. The other Titans. Yeah, compare this to a Crimson Hunter, which just has that's a cockpit there. That's the exact same size of cockpit, and there's two of them. You can see absolutely massive thing there. Wraith Fighter's the same size as a Crimson. Don't they have a bomber as well? I swear they had a bomber vessel that's a bit bigger. Wraith Fighter. No, it's a Crimson Hunter. I thought they had another one. Maybe I was mistaken. Chonka Drukari. Yeah. I know that Drukari have a big old bomber ship. That's absolutely massive. I say it's massive. So that's a jet fighter for the Aeldari. Looks really cool. Actually, is it now? No, that looks Eldar. There we go. Yeah, this is the, I guess, the closest to it for Fried Raven Bomber. But as you can see, they're not even close. And is it a transport ship? I think they still have rules for it. Vampire Raider. Vampire Raider is the largest Eldar aircraft yet documented by the Imperium. An orbital capable dropship like the Thunderhawk gunship. And I can't show you this because it's got loads of adverts around it. The Vampire Raider is used to ferry assault forces onto a planet. Oh, descending from orbit at many times the speed of sound to quickly drop off its cargo. Or at many times the speed of sound. At Mach 30. The primary transport of craft world forces for when a target cannot be accessed through the webway. Vampire Raiders are also a favourite of Aeldari Corsairs for dropping off and retrieving their raiding parties. Many variants of Vampire Raider exist, the most common being the Vampire Hunter. Yeah. It's only 26 meters long according to the estimates. The Vampire Hunter is this version, which you can see is basically armed with Titan weapons. Yeah, it's a Titan destroyer. No. Really fun stuff, anyway. Yeah, I was saying, where was it about vampires here? Yeah, Vampire Raiders deploy bands of Skyweavers. Their skilled dropships pilots weave through interlacing fields of fire to blast rents in the hulls of enemy vessels before unloading Skyweavers into those breaches, leaping from open ramps of their still-moving transports. The Skyweavers plummet into the fight with weapons blazing, silencing enemy gun positions before the rest of the fleet's reef bands join for battle. Once deployed, Skyweavers are constantly on the move, letting out whooping battle cries as they leap across rooftops and fortifications. glide over decks of void ships, or jet over the yawning chasms of cavernous innards of space hooks. Their hit and fade attacks are dazzling and disorientating. A blizzard of cuts and fuss accompanied by scintillating close-range fusillades that leave the enemy reeling. They don't have any ranged weapons here other than pistols and, you know, the fusion guns and stuff like that. Shut up and take my money. Yuck! They sound pretty fun though. I love those dudes. Vipers, lightning-fast attack speeders. Agile and versatile, the Viper is a mainstay of many Asayani warhols. Modified versions of this vehicle, known as Starfangs, are utilized by Aeldari Corsairs, whose rapid raiding forces utilize incredible speed and considerable firepower. The first Vipers were designed and constructed on Simhan. These vehicles were intended to provide their Windrider hosts with a vehicle swift enough to keep pace with their lightning-fast jetpikes, whilst carrying weapons capable of threatening heavier infantry, combat workers and even armoured vehicles. So effective and versatile has the Viper proven that variations upon it have found their way into the armies of many of the craft worlds. Vipers are small craft with a crew of 2 pilots and gunner, and they often share a bond of blood or soul bond pacts. The gunner is ensconced within an articulated turret at the vehicle's rear. Didn't used to be, they used to just be out in the open. This crude weapon mount has an all-around horizontal field of fire, an integral psychically activated targeting system, and can be fitted with a wide range of weapons. This enables its munitions to be tailored according to the targets its crew are expected to encounter. The pilot also has direct control over a secondary weapon system in the shape of an underslung missile launcher or shuriken cannon, which can provide additional forward-facing firepower. Starfangs. Many Corsair fleets operate an adapted version of a Viper called the Starfang. Internally almost identical to a Viper, the Starfang's targeting system are modified to incorporate Comorite technology in the shape of disintegrator cannons and Starfang grenade launchers. Starfangs are commonly used as close support escorts for landing parties, as Anarath infantry disembark from transports. Starfangs swoop low to strafe, bombard and suppress cowering defenders. The turret-mounted disintegrator is a potent anti-infantry weapon and fires bursts of unstable matter harvested from stolen stars, which is more than capable of burning through even ceramite power armor. Aimed and fired by the Starfang's pilot, the vessel's underslung grenade launcher can be loaded with a wide range of munitions, including anti-infantry explosives such as plasma grenades and smoke grenades, to cover movements of lightly armoured Anarath comrades. And pictures! Pictures! Ooh, big old fire prism back there. Is that a venom crawler? It is. Ooh, so many cool things. And there's Uriel about to slaughter some random dude up here. Random apostle. Upon isolated void dock amidst the incest-choked atmosphere of Golmak, Prince Uriel leads a precise precision raid to steal back plundered Aeldari soulstones before they can be sacrificed to empower nascent demon engines. Elite Voidsguard and recklessly bold Skyreavers hold back the word bearers in running battles over rumbling cigarettes and for Eldorich raiders' heaviest support to target metallic horrors, heaving themselves from under forges. The prince meanwhile singles out the dock's blasphemous overseer for execution. That's pretty cool. Gamers, hi, that guy over there. How you doing? Gamers, yeah, games. I'm surprised that Skyreavers weren't a fly melee dedicated unit. It's like the only version of Fly for Eldar in total don't have. I guess so. I mean, they are a melee unit. They're just not very good. They're okay. They're more of like a cheap unit, if I'm entirely honest with you. Like, if you look at the stats, they're kind of underwhelming. Like, what do they do? Yeah, well, they Void Reavers, Defenders, Sky Reavers. They are... I'd say it's probably a good idea and just to give them full melee weapons, except the idea of you giving them a fusion gun is just too strong for me. I mean, that being said, even if you don't give them a fusion gun, they're not bad in melee. They still get 3 attacks that hit on 3s, with only strength 3 with no AP. Well, the issue is that even with their blades, it's like a full squad of 10 of them, just all dedicated to melee, is 30 attacks. That hit on 3s, that only strength 4, only AP -2. I mean, it's not bad, but damage 1. Like, throw them into a squad of Space Marines, and it's like 20 hits, 10 wounds, 3+ armor save becomes 5+. And it's, oh yeah, what's that? 3-7. They kill like 3 Space Marines, maybe 4. That's not a very good set of attacks, especially since they only have a 5+ save themselves. Like, going back like 7 Space Marines, even without taking into account a Sergeant or anything, or the fact that they might be melee ones, they're still going to be getting 21 attacks that hit on 3s, wound on 3s, and then you get 5+ armor save. Like, that's 14, about 10. You're losing about 7 yourself. Like, you're charging to 10 Space Marines, who you cost about the same number of points off, and you're losing more guys than the Space Marines. Like, they could almost wipe out your entire unit on average. Clyde! Hello, Clyde! How you doing? Yeah. I mean, the entire thing is, though, they're not really designed to, like, take out units. They're designed to just bother your enemy. But they're a pestering force. As much as the lore tries making them out to be an elite unit that tears things to pieces, they're a pestering force. They can come down and suddenly just, like, pump out a bunch of damage into the back of you. I mean, it's like your home objectives. Oh, you're protecting you got your home objective just because you use sticky. Well, would it be a shame if you'd be deep strike your unit onto it? It's like, oh, you've just got an Imperial Guard heavy weapon squad on your objective. Well, would it be a shame if we send in some melee specialists to deal with them? That's basically what the unit's about. One of the things that disappoints me, though, is while they are modelled with a mist shield, actually, there's a bunch of things that kind of disappoint me about their rules. Is while they're modelled with a mist shield, they don't have access to a mist shield. Like, there's no option to give one of the characters a mist shield. While there's multiple different types of weapons that it looks like they can be armed with, they only all just count as melee weapons. Just these Corsair blades. But, I mean, I don't think the fusion gun and blast pistol are bad by any means, mind you. You can pump out quite a bit of damage quite suddenly with them into tough units. The entire raid and run is kind of meh. Yeah, it's definitely very meh. I think it's a holdover from an older edition. No, it's not a holdover from an older edition because these are brand new models. Like, they got released with this book, which is new itself. I think it could just be that they're leaving themselves a bit open for, you know, changing the rules on them. It's like, it's not even like the wrongest. If we look at the Aeldari, we can see them because the rules are literally just down here, especially, sorry. I mean, they can get some good benefit from these abilities, mind you. But we just scroll down. Vipers, Starfangs. Here we go. Corsair Sky Reavers. And it's like... How's it going? It's going well. They have air shooting. If you compare them though to, like, let's say, Void's Guard over here. Let's look at the Void's Guard. The Void's Guard basic power weapon is the exact same. Ignore the Spear of Twilight here. But they also have Witch Staffs, 2 attacks, hits on 2s, anti-infantry 2+, no AP but damage D3. They also have Prepared Hex Attack Blades you can get, which is 4 attacks, twin linked to AP -2, and hits on 2s. They have access to Wraith Cannons, Fusion Pistols, Neuro Disruptors, Corsair Blasters. They're a pretty powerful unit. They can do good shooting. They can do good melee. Ignore Prince Uriel here. Piratical Raiders. They can get lethal hits and precision against a specific enemy, which is pretty useful. Ignore the Brave Pathstone because that's from the Corsair detachment. Their leader can have a Mist Shield, which gives them a 4+ invulnerable save. They don't get a second wound like others do. They got the Channeler's Stone that allows them to ignore 1 attack per turn. And they completely ignore cover with this guy. And they've got Scouts as well. It's like the Corsair Void's Guard are pretty decent. They can actually like tear things apart in melee as will suit. They can do a bunch of damage with their shooting. That being said, the Corsair Void's Guard are just much more expensive. For a full squad of Corsair Void's Guard, it's 185 points. Actually, it's not, because they've got a really expensive ability. That's 25 points, so 160 points. For a full squad of these guys, it's 150 points. So it's 10 points cheaper, and you've got way more movement. Most kill teams are usually good-ish in 40k units, aren't they? Some kill teams are, some kill teams aren't. One thing about like the Corsair Void's Guard is that you can have a sniper. Taking the sniper is kind of just a mistake for them. It's better just to have an extra power sword. Yeah. Corsair Void's Guard are a kill team. Doesn't necessarily make them good though. There's definitely bad kill teams out there. And they're not even a great kill team. It's just when you compare them to what they could be in terms of like melee potential. And the fact that you can just give your character a Mist Shield. And it does, like, as I said, the Sky Reavers are modelled with a Void Shield. or miss shields, sorry, they can... It's mentioned in a lot that they have miss shields. I think the reason that they didn't give it in the rules is effectively they recognised that by giving them all these extra little bonuses and stuff, which often kill teams get, it will make them too expensive points-wise to be usable. Like, if they didn't give them a points increase for it, then they'll just be too cheap for what it is. But if they did give them points increase for it, the squad just isn't good enough to take. But we're like, okay, what do I want this unit to do? What do Aeldari lack? Aeldari kind of lack a cheap unit that can just go and threaten the people's objectives really easily. They do have units that can threaten objectives really easily, but none of them are cheap. And this thing can threaten objectives a lot easier than pretty much any other unit they've got, while being much cheaper. Like, just a squad of 5 out there so that it can deep strike or it can just jump onto an objective. You can see there's advantages to it. And, I mean, there is one unit, I guess, and that's the Wind Riders can also do a similar thing at a similar points cost. But Wind Riders just aren't that good in melee. And often you want objective threateners who are good in melee. Even if it's not super good. But anyway. So Prince Uriel's Eldritch Raiders use webs and spies and contacts to locate profitable hunting grounds and vulnerable targets. It is via this expansive network of agents. Did we read this bit? A lengthy period dedicated to surveillance, scouting and subterfuge had given Uriel a grasp of the Red Corsairs' raiding forces' composition and combat capability. Whilst Uriel had little doubt that his vessels were swifter and technologically superior to their opponents, they were far more fragile. This particular renegade flotilla was by all accounts larger and formidable. And yet, he was determined to punish the Red Corsairs for their savagery. Uriel felt any wound inflicted on his people keenly, and would not allow Huron's forces to go unpunished for attack on the Alaitoshi. Anarath void ships. The vessels of the Corsairs rely on webway gates and portals to traverse interstellar distances. Within real space, however, they use advanced vector thrusters and solar sails, harnessing astral winds to propel themselves at incredibly swift sublight speeds. In the Maelstrom, not all stellar bodies conform to the laws of reality, and their winds and flares are far less predictable. Thus, the Anarath rely upon the skill of their void dreamers to pick up upon these fluctuations and guide helmsmen safely and swiftly to and from their targets. Guiding his fleet to the fringes of the Tyrant's Crown, Uriel had his ships linger at the outer edge of Arak's system, home to the Crimson Ire. The system contained 3 uninhabited planets, all orbiting a sickly red dwarf star that pulsed, constantly emitting radiation rays that played havoc with even the Corsairs' advanced sensors. Uriel was confident, however, that the empiric perception of Karsif, his chief void dreamer, would prove acute enough to pierce the shroud of stellar energy. Indeed, it did not take long for the Aetheromancer to sense the faint submolecular disturbances that heralded the warp translation of the Red Corsairs flotilla, and for them to zero in on the throbbing energy signatures of the Renegade's engines. Uriel bade his helmsman follow Korsef's guidance and pursue their quarry together towards the heart of the Arak system. As his Red Corsairs cruised towards the Crimson Ire, Uriel snapped orders to his officers, dividing his fleet in 2. His lighter, faster ships would continue in pursuit, staying beyond Auspec's range, engaging hollow fields to avoid detection, but would wait until the foe had begun unloading. Fair holds before launching a swift attack to draw Red Corsair's vessels away from the station. Meanwhile, Uriel's flagship Flame of Assi and its companion dragon ship Jade Chris would make for the gravity well of the system's largest planet, staying well outside of Auspec's range. Doubtless that the Red Corsairs possessed esoteric measures of cutting through the system's censor confounding conditions. Uriel intended to guide his dragon ships around the perimeter of the system, use the mass of the largest planet to mask his approach, and then use the world's gravity well to slingshot his ships towards the Crimson Ire. It was a plan that may have succeeded fully were it not for the unexpected presence of a dreaded foe. Uriel's Gambit. Returning from a successful raid of the western wings of a Maelstrom, her and Blackheart had planned to pause only briefly at the Crimson Ire, deposit a portion of his fleet's haul, and allow his warriors to indulge their varied obsessions with infestation before proceeding to New Badab. Little did he expect to be so brazenly assaulted in his own domain. His temporary flagship, the heavily modified strike cruiser, Tyranny Incarnate, had docked with a void station and begun refueling the armament and cargo transfer when the first peal of alarms erupted. Engine signatures had been detected. Moving swiftly from the system's outer edge, as Tyranny Incarnate's crew rushed to battle stations, the bridge's hololith threat displayed flickered to life, projecting crackling red icons approaching the Crimson Ire at high speed. The scarlet blips continued to flicker and shift position. Argus struggled to track their movements accurately. Blackheart did not need his logic engines to confirm their identity as Aeldari. His bellowed orders echoed across the command decks when their first volley of pulsar beams impacted the vessel's hull. His crew reacted quickly, rushing to bring forward shields and plasma drives online. Wherein watched sleek Xenos vessels arrow past through Bridge's observation screens. They wove through hails of battery fire from the Crimson Ire's point defense turrets, and Tyranny Incarnate's guns strafing the Red Corsair's docked vessels before peeling away again. With a snarl, he ordered his ships to engage, pulling away from the Crimson Ire. 5 of Huron's heavily armed vessels surged after the Xenos void ships. Having reached the shadow of the largest planet, Flame of Ascian and Jade Chris entered its gravity well and neutralized its pull to slingshot themselves towards a now unguarded void station. Uriel was confident the Red Corsair shipmasters would realize the deception soon, but the Eldritch Raiders had bought themselves time to recover the plundered riches and liberate the Aeldari captives. Swiveling gun batteries mounted to the station's hull turned to engage the approaching Aeldari vessels. However, most of their fire went wide, with their targeters scrambled by the dragon ship's hollow fields. In return, the Anarath vessel pulsar lasers blasted rents into the Crimson Ire's outer hull. Gouts of vented atmosphere spewed into the void as clouds of frozen crystals along with torn debris and blackened corpses. Slowing sharply, Flame of Ascian and Jade Chris swept low over the station's mass. From open hatches and hangars, a cloud of boarding vessels and winged infantry descended into the breaches of the station, the station's skin as vampire raiders swarmed overhead, eliminating point defense batteries one by one. I wonder if they're going to bring back vampire planes, because that would be really cool if they do. I don't think they're so big that they couldn't make a plastic version of them. And they currently don't have like a good bomber ship for the Aeldari, it looks like. And with them bringing back Apocalypse games and stuff, that would be really cool. I doubt they do, because they still mention Mantis a lot, and what's it called? Arca vessels and stuff for the Tau, yet they don't have any models of them anymore. And it doesn't seem there's any plan to bring them back. Not that there's much need to bring either back either. With Prince Uriel at the fore, the Eldritch Raiders cut a swathe through stunned renegade armsmen and mutant thralls, blasting their way into the Crimson Ire in a dazzling display of firepower and blade work. Initial progress was swift. Squads of Void Reavers outmatched the station's defenders with superior agility and reckless aggression, cutting their way into storage vaults and dungeon zones. The raiders slaughtered those who opposed them as they worked their way into the station's vaults. They cut free dozens of Alatoshi prisoners, extracting the captives to waiting dropships. With Karseth at their side, Uriel and his Void's Guard elite cut a path into the station's deepest depths. The Aethermancer's senses aiding them in the recovery of a trove of stolen Asciani artifacts. From powered blades and other weapons, the sacks filled to the brim with spirit stones plucked from the corpses. Starfang skimmers roared through the Crimson Ire's cargo hangars and embarkation decks, suppressing foes with bursts from their disintegration cannons and masking their allies' progress with clouds of eldritch mist. The sheer momentum of the assault prevented the station's renegade crew from mounting an effective defense. Hi, Nano Fate! Only when handfuls of Red Corsair warriors entered the fight did the Anarath assault falter. The transhuman renegades stemmed the advance with punishing fusillades of bolt gunfire and scythed down lightly armoured Aeldari with roaring chain weapons. Uriel alone matched them in battle. The spear of Twilight was a blur in his hands, finding gaps in power armour, piercing hearts and striking heads from sewed shoulders. However, even as the High Admiral held his own, his bodyguards were struck down. That's not usual in lore. You usually see the Aeldari matching the Space Marines a lot better. His raid had recovered a portion of the plunder, Alatoshi treasures, and liberated dozens of prisoners. More certainly remained, but the High Admiral knew he could stay no longer. The time had long passed to withdraw. Scrambling for waiting grave serpents, vampire raiders, and transport craft, the Anarath beat a fighting retreat, pausing only to collect the spirit stones of the fallen. Mere moments after Uriel's Corsairs boarded the Crimson Ire, his complement of sorcerers and enslaved psychophals began a chorus of astropathic cries of alarm that cut through the empiric disturbances to reach the bridge of the tyranny incarnate. When he heard these howled screams of distress, Huron Blackheart realised his error. Though the guns of his fire ships had inflicted heavy damage on the smaller Aeldari vessels, the Crimson Ire was now aflame, and the crew of his large dragon ships were scrambling. Larger dragon ships were scrambling for the ships in preparation to withdraw. Without pausing, he ordered all 5 cruisers to turn hard and about and drive towards the static Aeldari. With their crews still scrambling back aboard, their dragon ships were now vulnerable. Huron had been outmaneuvered, but victory remained within his grasp. Flame of Ascian began to peel away. Jade Chris, however, was still stationed in the void as Tyranny Incarnate and its companion vessels thundered towards the last straggling Aeldari dropships, rising to enter the open hangar bays. Directing the remainder of his vessels to pursue Flame of Ascian, Huron ordered Tyranny Incarnate's crew to turn hard starboard. The strike cruiser pulled parallel to the Aeldari's ship and unleashed a punishing broadside, swiftly followed by a volley of boarding torpedoes laden with raiders. Fighter craft jeweled in the twilight void. A handful of torpedoes were struck, split asunder by laser flurries, and split by a cargo of jade warriors into the void. Into the void. Others smashed into Jade.
How do you move close?
How do you move close? By every time I look down. I can do this. By moving backwards and forwards in real life. Yeah. Hi, Doodle. How you doing? How you all doing? Big love hearts to everybody. Yay. No! So mean. Cuptle, get back. Get back, Cuptle. A handful of torpedoes were struck, split asunder by laser furies, and split their cargo of warriors into the void. Others smashed into Jade Chris' port side and chewed their way into its innards. Raiders spilled forth, engaging Casino's crew in battles across the burning decks. With a fight raging throughout Jade Chris' innards, Huron bade Tyranny Incarnate move closer to the stricken dragon ship, arcing around to target its engines. Tyranny Incarnate's gun rails flared again, plasma cannons tearing through the Aeldari's vessel's solar sails and thrusters. Explosions rippled across its stern. Huron's flagship circled the stern again, paralleling the floundering dragon ship to fire at a further broadside. This time a volley of adamant-tipped harpoons erupted from the flank of a renegade strike cruiser, biting deep into the wraithbone-reinforced armour of Jade Chris. Aboard Tyranny Incarnate, leashed captives and lobotomized surfers, all labouring under the lash, turned towering capstans pulling harpoon chains tight. The Aeldari vessel was caught fast. No new model for me. No, the new model is cool. Thank you. Thank you. Aboard Tyranny Incarnate. What's this? The Anarath crew of Jade Chris now faced a combined might of dozens of Huron Blackheart's transhuman renegades, with no route of retreat apparent. Inch by inch, the Red Corsairs butchered their way towards a bridge. Resistance stiffened there. The dragon ship's Baron and his void-scarred bodyguard turned back repeated assaults. Huron Blackheart determined that the time had come to intercede personally. A sorcerer scaffolded up on Tyranny Incarnate's command deck and wove a blood-drenched ritual harnessing the rampant warp tides of a Maelstrom to open up a rent in real space. The tyrant strode through the yawning portal, spanning the gulf between his vessel and that of the enemy on a wave of empiric desolation. We have Ursus claws on his strike cruiser. World Eater players are salivating. Yeah. Could you imagine if they actually played, like the entire reason this battle goes the way it did is because they actually just played the game. Like they played some Battlefleet Gothic and then in the boarding actions played 40k boarding action games in like a small campaign to decide how things would go. Well, the energies that swept over him during the brief steps would have killed lesser beings. His unquenchable hatred and the Handcam's presence shielded him from its most lethal effects. The empiric surge passed straight through the hull, wards and wraithbone frame of the Aeldari ship. Those eldritch raiders caught in its path felt the full weight of its impact and dropped their knees. Blood streamed from their eyes, ears, and nostrils as they clutched their throbbing skulls. As the wave of fury dissipated, Huron Blackheart emerged from its sulphur trail, its horrific flesh and metal visage illuminated by lingering embers of warp fire that clung to his tattered cloak and singed his pallid skin. The Blood Reaver's arrival was met with a roar of triumph by the Red Corsairs. Huron strode towards the vessel's bridge, cleaving a bloody path through all that stood before him. Voidsguard fought as well as they could, but none matched the tyrant's might. Last to fall was the Jade Chris' Baron, snatched up in the tyrant's claws and immolated before the eyes of his surviving warriors. Back to savagery brought to an end any meaningful resistance. All that remained was to cleanse and plunder Casino's ship. Owen Blackheart had inflicted a great loss upon his foes and achieved a measure of vengeance, but it was far from enough to satisfy him. The Aeldari had embarrassed him in his own domain. Such an insult could only be answered in bloodshed. As the remainder of our Aeldari fleet disappeared into a deep void, he swore there would be a reckoning sooner or later. He would find Flame of Asian, and when he did, his crew would know true suffering. Aboard the flagship, Uriel gritted his teeth, observing the stricken Jade Chris as it listed in the void. Recovery of Aeldari sea survivors and Eldar relics and plundering of the Red Corsairs. Void Fortress was a success, but he could manage little cheer. He momentarily considered turning about and coming to a vessel's aid, but swiftly discounted the possibility. He could not risk a protracted engagement with the enemy and the loss of his flagship. The destruction of Jade Chris was a heavier price than he expected to pay. He hoped it was worth it. Honest, I don't really like that story. Like, you've had plenty of things within this to show, you know, her and Blackheart being cool and all of that stuff. It would have been nice for Uriel to have something cool too. Instead, he just had... That was not a victory. Like I said, it was a half success. One, they didn't finish plundering everything. They turned around before they finished plundering. Two, is the light even on here? It's not. Two, they so they didn't even plunder all of the stuff back, all of the stolen relics, before they retreated back to the ships. Two, half of what they did get was lost anyway. So they got like, they scavenged a little bit. They probably lost more than what they gained there. They didn't seem to inflict any significant casualties to the raiders other than slightly damaging their station. There's no mention of a loss of any of Horan's Blackheart ships. That was terrible. Most period. It's not even a victory. It was. And this is meant to be like the premier Aeldari captain. I mean, again, he can say, well, it's just prideful, but it's also meant to be good. Common Eldar loss. Yeah, at least, I mean, if we blew up a bunch of these ships, that would have been worth it, but they didn't. Like, if they came in and, like, before they even set off to, like, chase the Aeldari fleet, they'd already lost 2 of his ships. And then it was mentioned, like, one of his other ships was, like, severely damaged in the firefight. But it's like, oh. Or, like, if they retreated. What would have been fun is, imagine if, the Baron, like, set off, like, a self-destruct thing on his ship, forcing the entire Jade Chris to be obliterated. And bringing with it most of the station. Like, that would be amazing. Like, taking out the entire station, blowing up their own ship, and her and Blackheart only just managing to get off a ship in time with his strike cruiser. He's heavily scarred and damaged because it didn't release the enemy's ship in time. That would be amazing. But I get you didn't have any of that. But anyway, what's this? Is that Commonwealth? Hostile inside the Gaia. I need 1 really big Elder win for every 200 Elder losses. Yeah, that sucked. I just felt like a Horan Blackheart. Like, if it wasn't Uriel, that would be fine. Like, if that was just a typical commander, it'd be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But having, like, one of the biggest names in the Aeldari just take such a big L is just such... Oh. In the heart of the Gaia, right and reason have no hold. There amidst the swirl and churn of empiric tides, striving songs and whispering fiends, drag mortals to their miserable ends. There atop his throne of steel and bone, sinew astride broken bodies of his victims. Oh, so it just made the Aeldari seem pathetic against the Space Marines. Like, usually you find when Space Marines and Eldar fight, there's always a comment of the Eldar being tough opponents of the Space Marines. Yet here it just made it seem like the Aeldari, the Corsairs, were just absolute pushovers, the only one who could actually fight them being that one Baron and Uriel himself. They're they winning for War in Heaven, technically. There atop his throne of steel and bone, sinew astride of broken bodies of his victims, the Blood Reaver surveys that which he calls his own. But despite his claims to the contrary, the Tyrant of Badab is not the master of a Maelstrom, not yet at least. Countless others explore, plunder and rage wars amidst the madness. Pirates raid and reeve, the desperate cower in impermanent pockets of sanity, and demons prowl the darkness between stars, resting for mortal souls. But following our lifetime of notes and findings, supporting the tales of Maelstrom's denizens and nomads, dredged from the minds of the insane, seized from the cogitator banks of drifting derelicts, are recounted unto me in the midst of excruciation by traitors and cowards. My experiences and those of my fellow voidfarers point to a conclusion that even the most foolhardy traveller would do well to observe, for Maelstrom is a place to be feared. You shall find neither sanctuary nor salvation amidst the tides and eddies of the Gaia. You shall find only misery and madness. And if you're fortunate, death. Is that meant to be a poem? Because that reads like a poem. I do like these sort of things, though, where it's like, it's speaking like records of the Imperium, not just like fact. I think that's just the best way that they ever do these things. And documents. Like, you do have a few of these things here, like the entire start was basically that. Like, all of this section. Really, really good. Yeah. But then when you get to things like over here, it stops being like that. Now, you can still argue that this is just documents that were collected by, you know, these groups. Inside the Maelstrom. Oh gosh, this is difficult to read. Dyslexia be damned, apparently. The boundary of a Maelstrom is never constant, and its movements are beyond the wit of mortal minds, to predict much less map. To plot a path through its heart is a task fit to drive enough, even for most disciplined and experienced of navigators, to a brink of madness. Of those ensnared by its churning storm fronts, most are lost for eternity, cast into a gasp of slavering demons, or torn asunder by Horan's corsairs. Yet for few and fewer still that remain whole of mind, who have braved its malignant heart, and emerged to tell the tale. Oh gosh, a pinkish colour scheme is a curious choice for Eldar. I was thinking of doing something like that, maybe. But where's this pinkish colour scheme for Eldar, sorry? Oh my gosh, look at that giant thing. That's cool. Oh, by the way, I was wondering, are there any demon ships in Battlefleet Gothic? Because I was reading about a demon ship, and it acted very much like a Tyranid ship, and even had a giant maw on it to bite the enemy ships and stuff. And I thought, that would be super cool if that's in Battlefleet Gothic, but I've not seen anything like that before. I was standing upon the bridge when I first saw the Crimson Rain. Globules of blood. No, actually, I'm gonna have to BRB because I really need to run away. I need to run. Smash! Bathroom. Bathroom. The riders might be dwarves, my goodness. Also, it's the time. It's that time of day. Oh, next week, the Defiler's here. Oh my goodness. My money, my money. Where's it gonna go? Wait, is it gonna be a special edition version as well? Oh, that's a special edition version. Kravik Main is gonna come around. The Defiler's gonna come around. The new Mutilators. The new Iron Warriors. Combat Patrol, which kind of sucks. It's not bad. It just kind of sucks if you got any of the old battle forces. Iron Warrior dice are okay. Ooh, new Folio Guard. I want to convert her into something cool. New Hastari. They're fine. New Destrier. New Battalion. New Battalion. New Battalion. No idea what prices they're going to be at still. All the battalions are while stocks last. Is this going to be while stocks last? Yep, while stocks last. More books and stuff. Carnage Unending. Is that a Templar book? Yeah, with Dokari in it. Warhammer for Old World. Bloodstorm by Dan Ebnett. And it's only releasing an audio. Oh. Oh, the White Dwarfs delayed in Japan. They released in Japan now. That's cool. Yes, demon ships are a tabletop thing at least. They start in what you would recognize as Steep Strike, except it has a stage where they're on board, but not very... Oh, they like really melee specialists, like designed to ram. Hi, Sky Cow. Yeah, new stuff here. Could be worthwhile. New Knight. No idea what price it's going to release at. They all look cool though.
I refuse to call the new knight by its actual name. Destria sounds dumb. From here on I will refer to it as the Knight Strider.
Destria sounds dumb? What do you mean it sounds dumb? I saw a Cupcan shot of a song. It's amazing. Thank you. There's a full song as well. Have you seen the full song? Oh, thank you so much. I was standing up on the bridge when I first saw Crimson Rain. Top pools of blood hanging in the void between. Aeldari had not detected its approach, nor had our navigator sensed the looming threat. I had heard tell of Mortex before. It was so the tales went, a storm within a storm, a bloody tempest that could tear apart a vessel or cast it into the depths of a warp, leaving it adrift and at the mercy of that realm's infernal denizens. Yet the words of fellow voidsmen had done little to prepare me for the horrors. It closed in upon us, viewports smeared with crimson, as balls of blood like fluid burst against our hull. Interference afflicted our eternal fog system, filling its channels with hissing static, punctuated by inhumane cries of rage. Witch servitors opened their mouths and screamed, tearing cables and cogitators and howling in agony. Even disabling our Fox channels could not halt the spread of insanity. Captain Selenia, Wren of Solemnity, describing the Mortrex. The song is a myth. The song is a myth. It's not a myth. It's a video on our channel. The fall into the Maelstrom's grasp is the nova true... Why am I saying that voice? It's the nova true meaning of madness. Bear the laws of real space. Oh, so have we just finished the Aeldari now? Is that it? The Aeldari were meant to be half of a release, and they've so far had... If this much is dedicated to the Aeldari. Of his entire book, that much is dedicated to the Aeldari. Yes. Oh, I hate it. But you can't say this is dedicated to them, no. It's as much dedicated to the Crimson, whatever they are. I can't remember. The Reavers. Oh, it's sad. I am doing well today. I hope everyone else is too. Oh. But Eldor not in this book. They need an army against Turvan. Yeah. To fall into a Maelstrom's grasp is to know true meaning of madness. Where the laws of real space are broken into a million different ways. There's a place between realms of real and unreal spill, pool and curdle. It was whilst on a routine journey from Kesseline, Law, Blow.
You are Xenos. You will get maybe 1/3 of the book where you are half the release and you will be appreciative of it.
A third! Let's look at how many pages are dedicated to them. 1, 2... Wait, what's that? 1, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we'll give them half a pages here. So that's 12. 12 pages in a... How many pages is in this book? It's not got page numbers on it. Okay, into the guide is page 71.
Xenos don't get much love, nor does Chaos.
That's page 71. That's 1, 2, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. Of 81 pages, 12 are for Xenos, for Aeldari. If we include other Xenos, there's maybe 14. In fact, for Arcs, I've had like 2 pages. Chaos, on the other hand, well, most of the books are dedicated to Chaos. Oh yeah, and 2 of those pages of the Aeldari was just picture pages. So 3 of them were just picture pages. But let's look at Denizens of a Maelstrom over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, Huron alone gets 4 pages just dedicated to him. I've lost count, I forgot what number I was up to, but then you just keep going, and more chaos, and more chaos, and more chaos, and more chaos, and more chaos. Then we missed this bit. Oh, then more chaos, and more chaos, and then Aeldari. And before then, I mean, it's still mostly chaos before this stuff. Like, half of this is just about Huron. And most of that's about Huron. And most of this is about Huron. Well, some of it is about Huron. And that's just a Maelstrom itself. A Maelstrom. Then, oh yeah, more chaosy stuff. Some Aeldari there as well. Oh, this is just kind of repeating earlier sentiment about the Maelstrom. Barely an 1/8 of a book. It's an 1/8 of a book more than they deserve. No! They deserve more than an 1/8 of a book. Great cover, Cupcon. The song really fits your voice. Thank you. Chaos gets a lot of love in 40k. Like, half of the stories are about chaos. Actually, most of the stories have chaos in them. You do not get an expansion on law. You do not get respect. You get to lose. Good day, sir. Yeah, Willy Wonka it. Okay, even I, gifted as I am with a warp eye, could not predict the arrival of a storm surge that descended upon us, or steer us as swiftly enough from its path. Thus, it was I that was forced to guide my captain through the Gaia. It was an impossible task. It was all I could do to guide us on an unending path with a screaming heart of insanity. The denizens of a warp did their best to foil my efforts. I heard their whispers, pleadings, felt the scratch of their talons upon my psyche. Only the Gellerfield saved us from incursion. Still they flocked in our wake like scavengers awaiting a meal. I revered their taunts and pleadings as best I could, whispering the imperial prayer for meagre comfort. How long we were trapped within I could not tell, for my attention was ever focused out into the darkness, oblivious to the sufferings of our crew. I sought desperately for any trace of the Astronomicon, for any path to freedom, yet nowhere could I see his light. All I saw were the leaving maws of ravenous geist appearing and fading in the kaleidoscope of insanity. The kaleidoscopic insanity, sorry. Relief came in the form of small pockets of space amidst the storms. In these regions of calm and reason, tortured minds were given respite. Even those becalmed islands proved not to be without danger, with the red corsairs ever prow circling like sharks in frothing surf. 7 ships were with us when we plunged through Maelstrom's heart. Only my own vessel, saintly virtue, still sails by the Empress' grace. Hope remains that we may yet escape the Maelstrom's bounds. Someone Erden Ptolemy, the navigator of saintly virtue. Ptolemy, sorry, Erden Ptolemy. Huh. I mean, considering this is meant to be a collection of notes by people that were in the Maelstrom, it sounds like they have successfully left the Maelstrom, and maybe this navigator still thinks they're inside it for some reason. In the churning of a nightmare's gulf, Falku hears not the call of its master, but with the howling of the wind and the tearing of a sail. Sail not these tired children of ASEAN, or amidst the fractured realms between starlight. Winds of madness weave and unweave, and our doom awaits. Translated excerpt from a lament of a nightmare gulf. Horus of flesh. The slightest flirtation with the tainted energies of chaos may wreak terrible mutations. In places such as the Maelstrom, where the corrupting energies of a warp are always in flux, such afflictions abound. Most of those who witness their outbreak are repulsed by such changes of the flesh. Many of those who fall victim to such hideous mutations are driven to insanity or death by the horrors wrought upon them. Others may embrace them as gifts bestowed by the dark gods of chaos. Yeah, so when they say down with a mutant, this is usually what they're referring to. And a relatively sane Templar is unlikely to, eliminate mutants that aren't of this type or of Xenos invention. Unfortunately, a lot of Templar are not very sane and don't really think that much, and as also, they don't really do that. Same for Sisters of Battle. But really, the entire thing about Down for Mutants refers to mutations by warp spawn or mutations by the Xenos, such as the Gene Stealers. Warp translation proceeded without error. Oh yeah, the only other one is Psychers. Simply because if you cannot get to Psyker trained up and, protected from the warp properly, they become a significant threat to everybody around them, because effectively they could easily be just, possessed by a demon and forced into a warp rift and spilled demons all over the place. Black Templar chilling with Beastmen chapter surf. I have no idea if Beastmen are chaos resultants of chaos or not. There was a time when they weren't, there was a time when they were, and now it seems like maybe there's not, maybe they are. There are some beast people, and yes, the Templar have actually served alongside various mutants before. Sometimes because they're working for another person, like for an ultramarine captain or something, who has command, or some other Imperial commander, and they're ordered to not kill
Cupcake has
mutants.
yellow and purple tongue. She can even move close.
I can. Yeah, so it's... So there have been times where the Templars have either been forced to get along with mutants or simply have recognised the mutants as non-heretical mutants and are fully sanctioned ones, in which case they've just kind of chilled with them. Most of the time, like most Imperial citizens, they do kind of look at them distrustfully. at best. But it's true that both Templar and Sisters of Vtuber can have groups of them or individuals at the very least who, you know, are kinder effectively. In fact, there's been a couple of stories focused on, you know, the kinder Sisters of Vtuber before, who are more understanding and thoughtful in the way that they preach the, you know, stuff. Preach the Imperial Creed. By the way, warp translation proceeded without error. Oh yeah, warp translation is just going inside the warp, like with your ship, or coming out of the warp. So it is just called translation. Translation to real space, or warp translation. Energy of Folk departed to the lower decks, having reported minor fluctuations in Gellerfield integrity. I have no choice but to order an immediate translation back to real space so that she may inspect the device and apply the appropriate rites. Emerging this close to the Maelstrom fills me with dread. EVO 10. Warp translation occurred at 1311. Astrogation has proven impossible. That's 2 days later? Astrogation has proven impossible. No stellar bodies are visible on Argus or producing anomalous readings. Bot networks are filled with screaming static, and I have lost contact with the engineering deck. I've been unable to raise the engineer, Fox. Without her expertise, we remain adrift. We found a creature that used to be Engineer Fox of the aft engineerium near the Gello device. I saw what had become of her in the faint light. Ugh. Faint light of Sergeant Frost's helm loom. A mass of molten fused metal and twisted flesh stretched across the Gello device's housing. Her mechadendrites were woven into cogitators and wrapped around stanchions. Ripping intestines and oil-slick cables revived amidst what remained of her puckered flesh. Her head turned to regard us, then lenses flashing open. Her face was stretched and bloated. Fear and pain writ large across its distorted features. I shall remember Frost's scream as long as I live. A screech of pure horror and insanity, instantly muffled by folds of puckered skin as he was swept up into the Falk's Thing's embrace. Then all was gunfire and chaos. To journey the Red March is this in fact misery untold. Even Horan Blackheart's curse do not linger fair long. For most of their number despise change of flesh, and know well the dangers present in that wretched place. A Gellerfield might shield a crew from the predations of demons, but will do little to hold back the flesh changes wrought by the power that saturates that place. None enter and return unblemished. Neither are its effects limited to mortal forms. Voidships themselves are wrought into new and horrific shapes. Their bows and... what's that meant to be? Their bows and... gunwalls? Gunnels? Gutturals warping into leering demonic visages, sprouting bulbous eyes and melding with their crews, forming sentient amalgams that prowl the Maelstrom's wilds, desperate to sate their jealous thirst of vengeance on the unblemished. Lieutenant Ernst lodges strategy of a Badab sector. They are not Fae or mutants, but they fought the chaos easier because of the overall belief of that they are most. They are not. They're not. They are mutant. So they're not chaos. They are mutants, but they fought the chaos easier because of the overall belief that they are chaos. Most that are still in the Imperium are in the Ecclesiarchy and have a confessor that leads them. Oh! That's interesting of chaos creatures. I'm not chaos creatures, beastmen. Weakness, bereaved captain says, leads to the mutant curse. Only the strong remain pure here. Or so is his claim. His words are lies. I have denied the whispers of demons and resisted the creeping corruption that haunts this place. I have not knelt before any so-called god. I am no weaker than he, and yet still my flesh rebels against me. I feel the crawling corruption dance beneath my skin, and find marks of chaos upon me. Each day they are worse and more prominent. Bony spurs burst through my flesh, writhing masses of tendrils erupt from itching sores, and so I am left with no option but to excise the corruption from my flesh. Just as I steal my mind from its influence, I will not let the Maelstrom take me. I have no wish to end up like Horsk, sealed within my armour, barely able to reason. Let alone speak, so I carve, whittle, burn and cauterize, and I bear the pain gladly. Better it is to repair the flesh till naught remains, than to be riven by mutation and shackled to the will of some empiric power. I have spent most of my life as an intern to the Emperor's lost cause. I'd rather die here than bow before another master. Crashcar form of the Red Corsairs. Reading stream? I can read, even though I'm dyslexic. And it's hard sometimes, especially like, look at these fonts, what the hell? Demonic environs. There are pockets of a maelstrom, more bizarre and horrific in their form than even the most debased of mortal minds could imagine. The most lethal and least sane of these areas of a warp reality intersist with Imperium is ascendant, and entire celestial bodies bear hideous ravages and outlandish mutations wrought from upon them by its malign influence. By the way, that's Empyrean, not Imperium. Empyrean is basically another word for the warp. Few are those that happened upon such regions and lived to tell the tale. Oh look, chaos symbols. Is that a hippogriff? That looks like a hippogriff. That font is diabolic. Cool, I would request a refund. Most of it's not got that font, like, most of it's just normal. But if these last few pages... It's meant to be like collected records of people, so it's meant to be like handwritten.
I call this font dyslexia, so even the normals may experience even a fraction of the true power of dyslexia.
Yeah, you tell them, Cuptle. Where? Hello? Hello? Hell's Teeth. That is the name by which this cursed world is known beneath blood-churned skies, amidst sulphur and steam, and under the prying eye of a great enemy. We toil and suffer. Somewhere in the forsaken badlands of this cursed world, amidst fortresses and citadels, of shimmering silver, tempests of kaleidoscopic empiric disruption, and lives of liquid fire. Lives of liquid fire. Beside the sacred omniposia. Beside the sacred omnicopia. Omnicopia. Besides the sacred omnicopia, this world guards its treasures well, descending from their argent bastions, and as appearing through ragged runes in reality's stream, illogical manifestations of the Empyrean. These are numbers beyond even my own ability to quantify. By the grace of a machine god, we shall persist long enough to find this blessed relic.
I may be honest, I cheated there by reading the next work, cause I think shimmering is actually the result of a seizure with a pen.
No, I could read shimmering. By grace of a machine god, we shall persist long enough to find this blessed relic. Then shall our losses be quantified. Hololag retrieved from the cranium of Archmagus Dominus of Explorator Fleet Omicron Epsilon 44. Oh my goodness, how did I read that? I struggled, but silver revealed the riddle to me. Honestly, the shimmering helped me understand what it said silver there. I'm sorry if it's like, oh, so I'm holding it in a way that's hard to actually see it, because I have to just angle this so I can see it easier. Oh, goodness. But Tempest of Kaleidoscopic Empiric Disruption. I don't know what that one says, though. That one. Oh, rivers! Rivers of liquid fire. Rivers of liquid fire. Besides... And that's not besides the sacred omnicopia. That's besides the sacred omnicopia. Okay. Okay, that's... I read it! I read it! How amazing. Oh, it's a texture of a page as well. That doesn't help. The ebbing tide of a warp have wrought their corruption on many of the Maelstrom's worlds. Yet these places remain tempting targets for the bold, who covered the treasures the demonic wilds conceal. The forests of Yulakaneth, ensnared by the Gaia's southernmost spurs, have been transformed into an expanse of festering fungal growths, whereas few dare brave the luminous toxspores and predatory monstrosities that dwell within. Those bold enough to have done so would report the presence of lost human cities concealed beneath the rotting filth. The rogue world known as Fleshmire meanwhile roams through the Maelstrom's heart, preceded by a nebula of sporic fumes. Those caught within its orbit are hypnotized by the siren song of its inhabitants and drawn to be devoured by its contents of quivering flesh. Then there is a parched orb of Synox, the fire-blackened cities, of which are said to harbour great treasures, watched over by the demon lord, Castle Ragor, who guards his domain atop a mountain of ash and bone. Doubtless there are places even more horrific concealed within this interstice. Lord Captain Ryland, Bailiff, rogue trader of House Signum. Sorry, I got caught up in a call. Oh, I hope your call went well.
I just got to know more about my own backstory. We barely escaped a reality where French Puff would never exist.
Oh! That sounds... I have no idea what that sounds like. Vermont Hollow is a place well named. Where lie the geist-haunted remnants of shattered worlds, bathed in the sickly light of waning stars. Twixt splintering moons and shadowed spinning asteroids drift the dimensional remnants of war. There are strewn the steel skeletons of gutted leviathans, locked beyond death in their endless morbid dance. Stray closer still, and you shall hear the keening remedies of the damned. Shrug aside the sorrowful dirges of a warp, guys, and hold on to a shred of your sanity, traveller, and you may reach a blackened heart of a hollow. There you shall find the fractured orb at once bore the name Profundus. It is a place of death, its surface split by mouths deep wound from which crimson billows into the void. Liver-winged fiends flock, pitch, and wheel in the mouth of the abyssal scar. Should you draw their eye, woe betide you for the hunter of a Mornhallow are ever hungry. Paladino, first mate of the errant voyager. Oh no, there's more! I don't know if I can handle more! Spoopy, spoopy! Technically, I would not live to the age of what I am now. Ah! Hacks, rituals, and superstition. It's fine. It's like the last 2 pages. It is. Oh, there's one more page after that. I think the artwork's kind of cool in here. So, in places where the warp bleeds into real space, faith, ritual, and superstition prevail. Whilst the worshipping of dark gods may work gruesome rites to gain the favour of their patron deities and increase their own power, even those unblemished by the taint of chaos, or want to develop their own strange practices with the hope of shielding themselves from harm and corruption. Amongst the it's a page background that also makes this really hard. Amongst the Forestmen who were in the shadow of the Maelstrom, I have observed many superstitions. To the efficacy of these rituals I could not detest, and yet they adhered to with internish discipline. It is, for example, considered exceptionally bad luck to wish a fellow traveller farewell. On one occasion, in a scum-ridden watering hole of Lubrixia, I did just a thing, and was met with such looks of horror and disgust that I first assumed myself to have cursed the Emperor himself. In some places also common for a ship's complement to actively seek a brawl, believing that the spilling of blood prior to a voyage sheds a great deal of bad luck. To actively seek a brawl, believing that the spilling of blood... Oh, it sheds a great deal of bad luck, like it gets rid of your bad luck. So too are sacrifices of trinkets and personal treasures of a regular occurrence, often by casting such items into a void to pacify the sea of souls. Such actions would doubtless stroke the ire of any inquisitive priest of the Adeptus Ministrorum. However, while such actions may well nudge the boundaries of heresy, and are doubtless ill-proof against disasters, the small comfort they provide ensures Imperial vessels continue to ply the void in this region. This alone may well be reason enough to turn a blind eye to such minor transgressions, but such minor transgressions is a good way to start getting yourself cursed by chaos. Oh, is that a raptor marine? That looks like a raptor marine. Or maybe Raven God. Redcross says, are rarely given to worship. They value too highly their freedom to cast in their lot for ruinous powers. This is not to say, however, they do not offer lip service to the dark gods. My agents within their fleet support many instances of sacrifice ordinarily undertaken before a particularly ambitious raid. Prior to their assault on Philemus, for instance, Hoven is said to have ordered the crucifixion of 10 captive space marines under the ramparts of the Palace of Forms. There they were left to writhe and suffer beneath the glare of a system's star. Only 8 days later were those victims put out of their misery and the attack of villainous had begun. So I'm just risking whacking my microphone here with a book. One can only speculate as to the ritual significance of such cruelty, yet its precision speaks to a diabolical nature. That doesn't work anymore, it's mega jump. Mega jump! Also, I'm surprised both of your messages got through because usually I'm having to constantly just allow them. Yeah, I changed it to Mega Jump because YouTube kept holding the messages for review, meaning I'd had to constantly just like allow them through. So I just changed the command to Mega Jump so that YouTube wouldn't, you know, punish me. So too is Harvin Blackheart's willingly. So too is Harvin Blackheart willing to treat with the dark magi of Salem. He has provided those heretic tech priests a boundless quantity of plundered technology, alongside thousands of prisoners. The souls of those captives are likely destined to serve as fuel for Salem's forges. The master of the Red Corsair himself is even rumoured to pay homage to the Dark Gods, doubtless in an attempt to maintain his iron grip on power. It seems that there are a few horrors to which Blackheart Reavers will not stoop. Interrogator Fasila Kavanoff. Such is the fickle nature of a maelstrom, that the celestial bodies caught within the churning mass walk strange paths across the stars. The followers of the dark gods, these can be much significant in their passage. Conjunctions, acculations, and scintillations may herald moments of import as wonder. Amidst the warp storms that erupt in the aftermath of the Cicatrix Maledictum, a thraldom of 1,000 suns calling themselves the Astral Coven sought to weaponize just such an alignment on a trio of demon worlds deep within the Maelstrom's embrace. They wove gruesome sacrificial rituals harnessing the omenic powers of their alignment to open yawning rifts in the midst of a Fayama system. Inquisitor Opex, former overseer of Null Bastion. Oh gosh! We are censoring my villainous attempts to cause damage to my cupcake brothers. No! The worst grainiest image of Beastman and their Confessor General in Discord. Ooh. Oh, that's pretty cool. I've seen that Confessor model before. Oh, I'll show it. Next week, defile us. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, defile us will come in next week. These things are hard to read. But last page. Let's turn on the light. Oh, look at the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom and Chaos ships in all their glory. Lord Gulliman has done it. Originator identification isolating servo encryption. Vermilion clearance verified. Chapter authorizations accessed. Cyclic empiric interface inhibiting spatial signifier. Decrypted identity references. Chamber conclave. No bastion validation incomplete. Oh my gosh, that's hard to read. That colour on this. Oh gosh, Commander. Lord Gulliman has done it. It is as I have feared for so long. And you, my friend, foresaw all those years ago. The warders are returning. For many on the throne road who have abandoned me, but I still have my whispersmiths. Word has reached them of an order from the Lord Regent, one of forgiveness so cloying that its words sicken me. The Lord Regent has granted the Emperor's absolution to the Mantis Warriors, the Executioners, and the Lamenters. Yes, my friend, all three. Those still undertaking penitential crusades are commanded to cease. No. Penitential crusades. My chapter masters are... Oh yeah, that's the thing. Why are they throwing really difficult words that you rarely ever see anywhere into these horrible things? Looks like the sticks got those 2 triangular rings. Yeah. The side of the launch bays. Yeah. And then there's another ship down here. I think there's like a couple in the background too. Oh, Their chapter masters are ordered to regather their disappointed forces and to ready them. This absolution carries but a single caveat. Their first deployment is to delve into the Maelstrom and take the head of the abominable tyrant Horan Blackheart. Okay, the Lamenters are going to do that. I believe in the Lamenters. Games Workshop needs to give them a win. That heretical monster deserves such a fate 1,000-fold, of course. But for warders, I might be inspired by such cyclic justice if I wasn't so galled by the threat of repeated treachery. I will not permit the tyrant to reap another corruptive harvest of the Emperor's creations. We failed once to fully cauterize the stump of a Barabob, letting 3 tainted limbs continue to wield blades in the Emperor's name when they should have been severed from the Imperial body. I would see those chapters extinct before I allow bad Badab to happen again. I beg you to instigate the contingency you and others have prepared against this fateful day. I've already begun to gather my followers, both the loyal and the unknowing. If those chapters prove us wrong, we will be in a position to reinforce their noble efforts. Otherwise, we will have a weapon in place ready to strike them down, a weapon the Imperium lacked at Badab. If these entry reaches you wherever in the Outdark you may hunt, no, but I have ensured termination failsafes to erase this message. Inquisitor Scalen, Audio Astartes. Auto-incineration initialized. Investigating system redundancies. Maelstrom contingency secundus. And that is finally that. We have... Oh, wait, one last page. There's no room for misery amidst their maddened stars. Only strength, ambition, and will to overcome all who would challenge your rule. Extract from Horan Blackheart, 13th Tenets of Tyranny. And I'm not trying to bother reading all of these words. That was somebody else to do. There's a bunch of words there too. I honestly like to hear those words. Makes me feel more photosynthesis. Oh gosh. After every time I hear about SW05's Warhammer games, I feel he should play for Lamenters exclusively. They're the only faction that makes this role seem thematic. Okay, we need to know how well we can roll. So let's say we charge into we want to shoot into a squad of bloodletters. How well can I roll? So, shooting into a squad of bloodletters with a squad of Space Marines, you get... Of Black Templar Crusaders, you get 5 heavy bolt pistol shots. Is it 5? Yeah, 5. So you hit on 3s. Ooh, 1 miss. Wounds on 4s. 3. That's 3 saves we need to take so far. Then, there is a great total of 10 normal bolt pistols. Get some freeze. Because every single Templar has a heavy bolt pistol and a bolt pistol, and they can shoot both of them at once. And then the neophytes have just normal bolt pistols. So wounds on force. So that's 7 more saves, and then they go D6 attacks. That's 4. That auto hit because it's a pyre pistol. Wounds and force. That's 1. That's 8 saves. And they get, what is it, 5 plus invulnerable saves on blood letters? That's 3 saves. That's 5. Down to shooting. Now, what would averages say? Well, they'd say, against my 5 normal shots, 2 should hit, 1.5 should wound. Well, that 2 should wound, we'll say. Against the other, which we get around 7, 3.5, so that's around 5, maybe 6. Then D3, 3.5. 6. That's around 7 successful wounds. Oh yeah, so on average I should kill 5. Yeah, so I actually did exactly average. I say exactly average. But each dice roll wasn't average, but it averaged out to do 5 damage, and that's on average how much I should do. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so next week is the new night is coming out. Anyone planning to get the stuff? I might get one of the new defilers because I know that I should probably get the new defilers. Just at least one of them just to like build it on stream. Everything else I'm not really as sure about. Honestly, it really depends. It is April next month, so I will have more money. I might get the new Eye of Terror books because I just want to read them. Name every cow ever. Bella. Like, most cows are known as Bella for some reason. We should have Cupcake just read lore for more games and just keep distracting her. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. The Defiler looks really cool. I think I'm going to get one of the Defilers. I kind of want 2 of them eventually, but I'll just get 1 for now. Mutilators, I'm really not that interested in, if I'm entirely honest with you. For new warrior upgrades, definitely not interested in, not interested in, not interested in. Oh yeah, what's the new dice? Do we have new dice? What do you mean that AdMech don't get new dice? What do you, why doesn't gold get new dice? Why? Because Aeldari Corsair's got new dice, for Ultramarines got new dice, and Netcon's got new dice. I loved Bliss. She was basically a big cat. When my gran had one last cow on her farm, it was called Bliss. Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, gold looks really cool. Don't know how expensive she's going to be. I imagine maybe 30 to 50 quid somewhere. New Hastati are really cool, but I kind of want to wait on points if I want to get them or not. New Night Destria, similar. I want to kind of wait on points if I actually want to get one or not. I have no plan to get this. These things are really cool, though. I like this mode of it. I don't like the disintegrate. I like the just... This feels like it should be for the guardsmen, if I'm entirely honest. The guardsmen need one of the D-Day landing boats. Honestly, I'm really tempted by this, depending on what price it releases at. And I'm tempted by this, depending on what price it launches at. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I do need, like, one more of them or two more of them. Do I need two more? I do need two more of them. No, one more of them. One more of them. I don't know. You don't get no dice, cupcake lady. I know, it's sad. A new Titanic Duel minigame pits singular knights against one another. Oh, cool minigame. Yeah, if you like knights, you might want to get the latest Right Dwarf. It's all about... It releases a new minigame. Right Dwarf minigames are great. With loads of lore and stunning galleries. The new Chaos Defiler gets a spotlight. New book. Pyre of Faith. Tasked with delivering sacred relics safely to their resting place. Can think of no worse fate than failing and losing such an artifact. Paragon of Faith. And other stories. Oh, so this is just all about Sisters of Battle. Combines an anthology of 2 novellia and 5 short stories. Okay. Featuring Sister Athaline for the novel Demon Breaker. Ah, whatever. Okay. Interesting. Have a carnage and ending. In the grim darkness of our future is only war and stories told about them. Carnage and Ending is a new anthology of classic short stories from your favourite Black Library authors, chronicling just a few small fragments of the endless battles fought to the 41st millennium, with appearance from Orcs, Templars, Drukhari, and Commissar Yavik, and many more. Okay, so that's just an anthology book. Dan Abnett, Guy Haley, Mike Brooks, and many more. I'm not a big fan of Dan Abnett. I've been enjoying Guy Haley's works, actually. Although I do find he is... He can get very bogged down in describing scenes sometimes. And he can go multiple pages without really the story actually progressing. And he does have a... He does sometimes like just to tell a story of someone. There's no actual progress. It doesn't really support the main story that much. It doesn't really progress really anything at all. No story arcs or anything. It's just, hey, here's a person. Here's just a story you hear from time to time, and it's interesting. You especially learn more about like the lore of the cities and stuff. Just it feels like you could remove the entire thing and just make it its own short story. Sometimes like that. But other than that, he's a really fun author. Mike Brooks. I think I've read a couple of things, and some of it's good, some of it's meh. Like, what has Mike Brooks written? Dan Abnett writes a hell of a lot. He's very prolific, but... Necromunda, Warhammer Crime, Wanted Dead, Dead Drop, Road to Redemption. I think I must have mostly Renegades, Ghost Legion. Oh, Ghost Legion. They're Gobbo's. Oh, he did do a Gobbo's Revenge of Big Dakka. Oh, he's done a bunch of Orc books. Rites of Passage, War Boss. Herman Blackheart, Master of a Maelstrom novel. Okay, yeah. We did Leo of Hasbach's one, yeah. Some of them, yeah, again, a lot of these authors, because they do write a lot of stories. Not every single story is going to be great. And sometimes they're going to have a lot more, like, you have got all of these points that you need to reach and see in your story. or we want all of this in the story, your story needs to put that in. And it can be very hard to sometimes write about them, or like write within the bounds that Games Workshop give, especially for tight deadlines. Oh, I take back my, it's gonna be Heat. Paragon of Faith sounds cool as hell, but bet 3 of the stories are actually gonna be about Space Marines. No, I don't think so. I think they're all about Sisters of Battle for the sounds of it. Oh, it's gonna have an audiobook as well. And send a monster to kill a monster, murder, betrayer, warrior beyond compare, yet for cruel standards of dark elves, Malice Darkblade still has. Oh, Malice Darkblade! Possessed by the foul demon Sarkhan, Malice only has a year to find 5 magic artifacts or his soul will be forfeit. Retrieve the idol called Cuff, he will have a call upon all his cunning and wits to survive a magic labyrinth. That code one reminds me a lot of very old art of, code ones. Rather than, the later art for code ones and stuff. I don't even know if it is meant to be a code one. Bloodstorm by Dan Abnett and Mike Lee, the second book of the beloved Malice Darkblade series, returns in new audiobook format. Do you think this is actually not an old world thing, but it's actually from Warhammer Fantasy Battle and they've just renamed it Old World? I didn't see the little head on the mecha. I just saw the mecha parts. What's this, sorry? Oh, do you mean here? On the Paragon of Faith? Yeah, there's a little head. And look, there's her actual arms. I really like how the mechs work. For, these Sister of Battle mechs, the Paragon, yeah, this thing. Oh. Yeah, there's some cool stuff here. I've only got the typical Warhammer Plus stuff. I need to do more of the Warhammer Plus stuff. Just don't pay too much attention to where the legs should be. Let's look at the Sisters of Battle. Oops. That was the wrong button I pressed. Let's look at the Sisters of Battle mechs just while we're quickly here. Here you go. No. The legs go into here. No, the legs seem fine, I think. The leg is here. Starts here. The knee is just above the joint where this twists. So that makes sense. Yeah, the knee is here, and that's where the joint is, so the joint bends where your knee bends, anyway.
Paragon Warsuits. Nundums.
Nundums! They're not quite Nundums, if I'm honest. Well, they are pretty cool. We could just use the magic of cinema to make them disappear and reappear whenever. True. Although learning to walk in one of those suits would probably be pretty difficult. I bet if you stay in one for too long, I can imagine it's very difficult to walk properly afterwards. That's a cool model. Oh, yeah. That's like the old Sister of Battle. Drawing. Still don't like the Sister of Battle boob armor much. I feel like Sister of Battle armor should be more like this person's armor. do where it's kind of genderless. And same with her, she doesn't have that. Oh, but what are we doing now? We're ending it. Start a new army! Okay, Games Workshop, you told me. I will do. I will do. I'll start this army. No, not Grey Knights! Oh look, it's got a little demon at head. Adorable. But let's close this. Let's close this. And let's give a big old love heart to you all, because I need to get going, because I need to have a bath and I need to like get ready for the week to come. So where we go? Where we go? New talking, image 6. Here we go. This is the what's it called? What do we call it? Why am I a bit laggy? I'm a bit laggy. But the schedule, that's the word. Keep up with the changes on Discord and Blue Sky. Yay! Cool art, painting, yay! Drop pods, yay! Yeah, we're building drop pods and Xenos on Tuesday. We're going to have a long stream of Rogue Trader on Wednesday. And for once, an early stream on the Saturday for Rogue Trader. We're also bringing back Warhammer Total War for those who've been asking for it. And because, you know, we have to remind people I'm still a Total War-ish channel. So yeah, a bit more gaming, a bit more. 3 days pretty much in a row of gaming. And we're going to do painting twice this week too, yeah. What happened to the table? Did it burn? What table? What table? Oh my gosh, twice rogues will be traded. Yeah, rogues will be traded. Do you mean this table did it burn? A cutting board. Oh no, this cutting board, it's just gone through a bit of hell. It's actually I can change my look away if you have what's it called, epilepsy. There you go. There you go, that's a bit brighter. So yeah, it's just that's not brighter. That's not brighter. You can barely see anything. Did that work? There we go. Yeah, no, this is just, it's just paint. It's just paint. It's because it's kind of absorbent. I originally got this for cutting screen tone. So it just, the paint doesn't really come off it very well. The spilt glue on it doesn't really come off it very well. This stuff here, it's just where I spilt plastic glue. And the plastic glue melts this because, well, it's plastic. So it just completely removed the stuff here. The lumps on it is just super glue and plastic glue. The super glue in theory should come off, but every time I try like breaking it off, it just takes up chunks of the boards with it. And yeah, it really just requires like a proper knife to go over the top of this, or like a file or something. Some of the super glue I can take off, but not all of it. And most of the stuff just doesn't come off, even with filing it, unless, like, I just fully just scrape off the entire stuff. It's well worn. It's well worn, yeah. This is just literally always spilt. Knocked over a tub of plastic glue. And plastic glue, if you don't know, it works by melting plastic. And as a result, if you spill it on something plastic, well, it will melt it. There's so many scars and from model paintings. It does. It does. I've been thinking about doing or getting one of those metal scrubbers and just scrubbing at it. But I know if I do that, I'm going to take off all of these squares on it. And I like the squares. It's very useful having the squares. I'm like, what size base is this? Oh, it's 32 millimeters because each of these is roughly 10 millimeters across. It's not very exacting, but close enough. What we need it. It's like, what size base is this? Oh, it's 40 millimeters. Bonk. Bonk, bonk. It's very useful. Very useful. So plastic glue is like holy water to vampires and witches. Kind of, I guess. Except it actually works. Look at this bloodletter body. I've been trying to build a bloodletter, so all I've got so far is one and this dude. Ah. Oh. Sorry. Got my judicia. Yeah, I did not do very well at just removing the symbolism on the front of that chest piece. I'm very bad at that. Oh, anyway, I need to like go. I need to go. I've got stuff to do today. I've got stuff to do for the rest of the day. So we got streams tomorrow. We're painting. We got a bunch of early streams next week so we can play more of the games. Thank you for coming to the stream. He'd be showing his lamp. Yeah, actually, it's got like incense. It's incense. Oh, and that stops time. Oh, bye everyone. Speaking of hearts, don't forget to like the stream if you haven't already because it helps me out. Bye. Take care of yourself, be kind to others, eat good food, sleep well, dream of cupcakes, don't eat the cupcakes of friends, not food, also take care of yourself, be kind to others, and vice versa. Smash! Love you all! And don't forget to like the stream, please.